Hello, viewers and listeners. Jordan here, and welcome to Heroes of Thylea, an actual play, show, and podcast produced by Lionhead Gaming. This production is my interpretation of Odyssey of the Dragon Lords, an epic adventure book for D&D 5th edition created by Arcanum Worlds. It blends classic fantasy with Greek mythology to create an adventure of epic scope, storytelling, and heroes, combined with my own changes to create something unique and wonderful that I hope both you and my excellent cast of close friends enjoy. And so with that, I want to let the cast introduce themselves and their characters.
Hey everybody, this is John, he/him, and I play Mercury, the Siren demigod sorcerer. And well, Mercury's from a very unique place, a place that nobody can seem to recall, a place where he was once a prince, and he's traveled around this world trying to figure out what happened to his home island. He's met some crazy adventurers along the way. He seems to always like to bring joy and happiness to everyone around him.
Hello, I'm Brendan, he, him, and I play Sophia, the Stygian philosophy wizard. We are all just pawns in a game of which we do not understand the rules.
Hey, I'm Kishi. I play Bartholomeos, the Minotaur Herculean Barbarian. May the Ancient Ones watch over you.
I'm Nick, he, him, and I play Theamos, the human dragon lord paladin. Okay, Sophia. What's irritating, doesn't go away, and makes you miserable? A lich. Get it? Because it's a play on It's Your No Fun. Mercury would have laughed at that joke.
Hi, I'm Nikki, they, them, and I play Imperia, the nymph Amazonian ranger. Dragons. There's just such awe-inspiring creatures.
I'm Mel, she, her, and I play Nyx, the nymph prophecy cleric.
I've spent centuries asking questions, and the only ones who have ever answered me are the stars.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Peter, my pronouns are he, him, and I play Atreus, the human hoplite fighter. Remember what has been lost. Fight for what hasn't been.
Alright, and now it is time for us to begin. From the one and only Peter.
Last time on Heroes of Thylea, our heroes finished mopping up a couple of Cyclops and their Gygan lackeys. Some of the members of the group that helped them defeat the Cyclops have, between, I believe, the two of them, have decided to swear an oath of servitude to the party. While some were apprehensive, they decided as a collective of the group, religious nicks, that they decided to allow it anyways. And after swearing it, they moved on, as did the group, as they headed to the house that they saw in the nightmare, the house of Nyx's surrogate mother. It was all but empty, with various clues scattered around for the party to figure out what had happened. After some track finding and house searching, the party sort of came to two conclusions. Either she died to some boar, some beast and creature of Lutheria, or on the idea of Sophia, perhaps she turned into a boy itself. But while the party is still somewhat uncertain of it all, the dark and night does come quickly, and the party settled in for the night. In the morning, they continued on their route down to Mistros, where the storm clouds came to its apex, and the voice of Sidon and his face appeared in the clouds before smiting Theamos and Atreus with lightning before vanishing. Where we are now.
Indeed, a beautifully succinct recap. And go ahead and reset your mythic inspiration and set it to 1 for that excellent recap. As you all, the Oracle's chosen, just getting struck now, it seems, by that bolt of lightning, 2 of them, in fact, crackling from what appeared to be Sidon's eyes towards you all. You find yourself in the rain still, whipping down hard and heavy along with the winds around you, and the northern gate of the city, it seems, now creaking open as you can see various heavily armed, but it seems like not really armored, I'll bring you back on over to the expansive city of Mitros.
Correction for the recap, we thought it turned into the weird bat creature we saw before, not another boar.
Corrected. Bat creatures. Okay,
Yeah.
bat creatures.
Turned
That
into
killed
something,
the
at least.
Cerberus.
Here we go.
The city is
Back
open.
to the storm-laden city of Mitros. Dark clouds overhead, unable to really see the sky anywhere you look. It's just a big gray blob. And the moment you look up, your face is pelted by rain. Moving towards the gate, presumably you can see a group of soldiers as the gate opens up, waving you towards it, seeing you approaching.
So-
Thamos, Atreus, y'all right?
I mean, I think I was able to dodge the most of it. Just kind of rubbing my shoulder.
Yeah, Nyx had run over to Atreus to smack you with the cure wounds. You got healed for some afterwards.
I start striding towards the gate. Quickened pace to get out of the lightning-infested waters.
Just pick my wings up over my head and make a little umbrella.
Yeah. You guys move your way quickly through the rain and get underneath the actual gate, and it's very large and thick. The walls of this place, at least 20 feet. No, not 20 feet. Let's see. I have it written right here. The walls of the gate being 20 feet thick, able to get underneath the this overhang where the other soldiers are waiting for you, kind of ushering you in and closing the large doors behind you. One of the guards turns to the group of you, looking at you, Thylea, seeing you just sort of get out of the way of that bolt of lightning. Thought for sure you were dead from that. You all right?
I'll be fine. Does that happen often?
No, save for the unlucky ones. That's why we're dressed a bit lighter. And you can see the soldiers would normally be wearing, especially the wall sentries, heavy bronze armor. And you can see them all sort of wearing this sort of much lighter and thinner groups of leather, not having spears on their back, just the swords at their sides, and only a few of them carrying shields. They seem to be avoiding metal, it seems.
Yep, I told you, if you wear all their armor, they're gonna get you.
It takes more than that to kill me.
It's impressive, to say the least.
What of civilians? Have they all been barricaded in their homes since the storm started?
It's a bit hard to say. I personally just came back from a scouting patrol to the northeast. You see, I can see if, like, commanding officer can speak to you more about this. Do you all have business in the city? You're just traveling through.
Well, we're the Oracle's chosen. We've come to figure that out.
Hopefully help.
Yep.
Wait. Really? You're the Oracle's chosen? I heard that there were more of you. 1, 2,
More of
3.
us?
No.
Yeah, you all took on an entire army of centaurs in Astoria. You can't tell me it was just the 7 of you.
I mean,
We didn't fight the centaurs. We just fought Sidon's sacrifice situation. Whatever. Moving on.
we
Have you
did
seen
fight
Eos?
centaurs.
Who?
I wouldn't say an
Eos?
army of them.
Yeah, Eos. I think he left before us, right?
Shouldn't he have come with us?
I think he came with
I
us.
think he came with us. But also, we kind of forgot about him.
He did sort of get disappeared into the
The
ether.
players forgot about Eos.
He was around. He was just doing stuff.
He was with Eddie. He
hanging
was
out with-
with Eddie.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
hanging out with Menaeus.
Yeah. They
He was
opened their
in
magnificent
Eddie's
mansion and they
pack
went to their own little
inside.
dimension.
We intended to bring him with us, but then we forgot about him.
Can we please get to shelter somewhere?
Bartholomew still have trouble.
Yeah, just moves around. You see some of the soldiers going back to various posts and positions, and he just leads you. You're still at the gatehouse, and he just leads you into the gatehouse, which will provide some thick walls and shelter from the storm just to get out of it for a little bit.
Hey. So I kind of whisper over the guard. Just so you know, Kira's with us. You know, like the goddess.
And see the small hooded woman carrying a host of, it seems like, thankfully scroll-cased, enclosed parchments, quickly stepping up behind the rest of you as well. Yes.
I mean, sometimes she just kind of sneaks up on people. I just didn't want you to be caught unaware.
Having a conversation with an NPC, and then Kira just shows up next to you.
Dwight Angela meme.
Yep. As seems like as you guys kind of move into the gatehouse, Eos, who's also with you, goes and speaks to the commanding officer at the gatehouse. It seems like this captain of sorts, a much larger sort of individual with a quite nice looking helmet and a large broom of furs coming out of the top of it. See to it then that you check in with your division leader, Eos, after you get some rest. So, well, first of all, thanks for saving him, and I'm glad you all made it here safely.
Oh, I mean, that's just kind of what we do.
Yes.
I suppose so. I don't have any standing orders for the Oracles Chosen, though it is interesting that the king was looking for you. It seems like trying to verify that you all actually existed, confirm the rumors.
Yeah, speaking about him,
Congratulations.
can you like take us to the king and queen? I need
So they could verify in person.
also need to talk to them as soon as
I mean,
possible.
It would make you look real good.
I wager King of Castus has a lot on his hands that I'm sure you all would be able to help with.
It might
Okay,
even get
let's
you a
see.
promotion.
I have some things I need to oversee here, but sort of looks throughout the guild hall, or not the guild hall, guild house, gatehouse rather. Sorry, my mind is somewhere else. Demetrius. Yes, sir. Go with these ones. Escort them up to the palace. They're the Oracle's Chosen. I'm sure that he'll take care of anything with the centurions up there. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. You see this sort of average-looking soldier just gather up his gear and move her over to you guys. Sorry to make you all go back out in the rain. You all ready to go now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
All that has another arrived before us. Creature made of metal.
Creature made of metal.
Yep. She got like wings.
Like the
But not like these, but-
statues. Oh,
Yes, an
no, one
automata.
of Vulcan's
Vulcans.
creations.
Yep.
I thought you were referring to the marble golems. I believe there is such a creation, quite a number of them in the Noble District. Do you know
But
anything
none that
about
have
this,
arrived on the
Captain?
Northern Gate.
If we summon her, she should come to us, right? That's what Vulcan told us.
Yes.
No need to send the guards out looking for her if she can just arrive.
He was given instructions to meet us here, and she should have beat us here.
Maybe just outside the gatehouse then.
Unless she was fried by one of those bolts.
That is what I worry of.
That would be most unfortunate.
You'd think he'd have a way to like make them like, you know, a little bit more resistant to electrical powers.
Lightning proof.
Yeah.
Well, they aren't really soldiers, but as Demetrius opens out the gatehouse and you guys are back out in the rain, you can see waiting just to the right of it is Catalonia.
Sophia, she arrived. Safely, I might add.
Good. Follow along then.
Understood. Catalonia just ever so slightly starts to hover off the ground, following after you all. A strange little
Suppose there's no
entourage.
problems with Davos and Vulcan.
No, he did leave a message for you, actually. And you
For
see
later.
Okay, understood.
Hey, Demetrius, how long you been part of the city guard here in Mitros?
Just over a year. Look at him, he looks relatively young.
What's it been like here since the storm started?
For a little while it was fine. Most people tried to go about their daily lives, sort of trying to talk over the storm. But as of late, about the last week or so, the city's been somewhat shut down. Businesses boarded up, people trying to just stay warm and stay safe. Valis has been distributing food where she can. Hellish.
There any theories on how to stop this thing?
The temple's performing rites and ritual, but there's not been a hecatomb performed, though people are clamoring for it.
I mean, like... Oh, go ahead.
We heard it might be one of Siding's children's. Has there been, like, sightings of him or something?
Depends on who you ask. I'm not really one much for religious history. I don't know why Sidon is doing this.
I mean, because he's a bit of a cunt.
Careful, Mercury. We did just get struck by lightning. You don't want to get struck by lightning.
Yeah, you see Demetrius notably move away from you.
Might have been a lot safer back at the Oracle's temple, but here we now have a very real danger of upsetting somebody directly in connection with the Titans. Hold your tongue.
Granddad might not take that too kindly.
Just use your inside voice, Mercury. It's okay. It's gonna be okay.
I mean, don't worry. I'll come up with a song about him pretty soon.
Oh, wonderful.
Where are they taking us? To the temple? Or
to the king?
The palace. Unfortunately, it is a long walk there. As you guys are all just
the entire session's gonna be conversation and roleplay. Woo!
I mean, you're not entirely wrong, just not outside. As you all are moving through the city, you can feel the rain just soaking through your clothes, a lot of you. Though, Nyx, you're having a better time of it wearing that lynx cloak left to you. And the water sort of rolling off of it, helping to keep you dry, but with the rain coming, it seems almost from every direction. It is only a matter of time. It's about halfway through your journey, descending down past the noble district, sort of walking all the way around it, and now descending into the nicest area of the more poor and stacked upon section of Mitros, one that most notably Sophia would be pretty familiar with, along with Nyx and Mercury. You can see the very nice, like, noble area seemed to still have like sort of lighting coming out of some of the windows, and it seemed like not necessarily a sense of liveliness, still quite shuttered and barricaded against this persistent storm. But the contrast is immediately evident. Going through Stygian Row, as it's known, you can see some houses and settlements sort of collapsed in on themselves, some of them having just water running through them down through open roofs, as it seems like the storm is taking it.
Jordan cutting off. Else?
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Jordan, cut out.
Yeah, Jordan, you're cutting out.
Well, I don't know what to do
Not
about
cutting, you just cut. There you go.
Well, just repeat
It's
everything you
not
say
very
twice.
often. It's
so you make sure you get it.
It's usually like, oh, this is the really important word that you need to know. And that was the really important word that you need to know. Stygian Row.
Water was going through the houses, and it's a stark contrast, and
Yeah, so essentially you're going through Stygian Row, right, which is like sort of the ghetto area of
Skid Row, got it.
Mitros. It's not a very nice place, a place you're familiar with, Sophia. Lots of tieflings, and the small sort of half-orc population that exists in Thylea is also located here. It's not a very nice or well-off section of town, and the storm is taking its toll on the buildings. You can see a few of them are collapsed with rainwater just seeming to just run down and through the roof. People sort of evacuated out of certain sections and consolidated into others. Immediately apparent, even through the quick march that you're having through the, frankly, better off section of it. It's a stark contrast to the noble district up above, which seemed very much intact and very well barricaded against the storm's effects.
People here are struggling.
Hey, Demetrius. Since all this happened, how much is the harbor raised?
The harbor raised?
Yeah,
the
like,
actual water.
I mean, are people gonna start flooding? Parts of the city gonna be underwater soon?
There's been some flooding, but the sewer system has been working overtime, keeping this lower section clear as best as it can. Though it's been due for maintenance for some time.
I see.
Makes internal note that the city will flood at a timetable the DM decides. Check.
You guys start winding up the road here, making your way up towards the Royal Gate, marked at 6 here, towards what could be argued as the nicest part of town, due to the fact that it contains some of the most important buildings in all of Mitros. Coming up to the Royal Gate, you do see a number of armed guards again, though this time a contrast to the ones at the Northern Gate. All of them still in this very heavy bronze armor. You can see colored with the colors of Mitros, blue and white on their shields. Very heavily and well-trained soldiers known as the Centurions, sort of making up the royal and elite guard of Mitros.
Howdy, y'all.
It's your business. What are you coming up here for?
To see the king?
We're the oracles chosen, let us through.
Yeah, Demetrius from the North Gate, giving orders to escort the oracles chosen up here.
Well, and Kira's back there. You know the goddess?
Shh, Mercury.
What?
I'm not super popular here.
I mean, you're extremely popular in my eyes, Kira.
I understand. As the world gate opens, you can see a contrast again to the north gate. Instead of large, thick wood, noticeably heavy stone blocks. A much more fortified bastion, it seems. One that those familiar with the history of Mitros and Aregia has been used from time to time to withstand sieges. As we'll make your way into this very nice section, you can see coming out of the royal gate, you're kind of in this open plaza, and you can see just a few people sort of rushing back and forth, all of them wearing what look like priestly and somewhat scholarly attire. Some of them going to the large, expansive building to your left, and a noticeably much more humble one to your right. The one on your left, this large blue-roofed building of sort of awe-inspiring size, is the Temple of Sidon. You can see magnificent, I guess would be the best word, depictions of Sidon in statuesque form, both conjuring lightning around his hands. You can see one with him seeming to almost give life or flight to what sort of small statuettes carved that look a lot like Mercury, in fact. The giving of wings to the sirens, these sort of depictions of Sidon's great deeds throughout history, these various myths and legends. And the humble contrast on the right being the Temple of the Five. A much more, still well cared for, but it is not anywhere near the towering auspice that is Sidon's domain.
I think he's compensating for something.
And as you guys move through the plaza, you can see actually in front of the entrance to the Temple of Sidon, the building marked here with a 1. You see out in front, again, it looks like heavily armed guards. You think for a moment that they're the centurions, but then seeing on their shields the emblazoned blue and red and black, you realize that they are members of the Order of Sidon. The old foes is, I guess, perhaps the wrong word. Just disappointed witnesses of your valiant sacrifice by combat. Other members of this order seeming to make a home base of this place.
Is Gaius here?
Looking just at the front gate, you don't see him.
I wave enthusiastically.
Sort of in a sort of fashion reminiscent of the palace guards in England. They do not respond. Seeming to just look forward, standing in the rain, clinking off their armor, unmoving.
Is the Temple of the Five just as guarded? Or does it look like there's life inside of it?
It looks like there's life inside of it, but you don't see guards standing out in front of it. You don't see this display of military might. You see a few scholars and priests, sort of moving about, carrying what look like, sort of priestly supplies to and fro in sort of limited bursts. Most people are trying to avoid going outside, it seems.
I'm gonna go fly in the Temple of the Five quick.
Mercury.
I'll be right back.
Alright.
It's good to see some things never change.
As I'll bring you over to a little... You are now... Move these out of the way. Yeah. You would see across from you, here is the Temple of Sidon.
Oh.
Mercury's stuck on stream too. Okay, now he's a black box. He was just stuck there with his finger in his mouth for a long time.
Oh, did we lose John?
We might have. He ran into the temple. Nick told him no. He did it anyways, and now he's been cursed.
Well,
this is what happens.
Shame. What a shame.
Oh,
uh-oh. His temple got snapped. It doesn't feel so good, Mr. Stark.
No, it's just a Stop it, you. It's a beautiful painting.
Despite who it is meant to be for, I'm not going to deny that it is a beautiful example of architecture.
Yes.
God.
Did we like lose him?
I don't see him in the game.
I think Clyde pushed the power button.
Pranked.
Yeah, he said Clyde back at it again.
Yeah, he posted
Claw
it
me,
in
will
the-
you?
Clyde retaliated.
The best cat. As Mercury is whipping over to the Temple of the Five, are you all gonna follow after him or just wait for him?
Nyx is gonna follow after
What's he
him.
doing at the temple?
We don't know. He
yet.
just flew. He didn't say. He just rushed off over there. So Nyx is going to follow after. I'll make sure he doesn't cause a commotion.
Following along?
Entering in after definitely a building you would be familiar with, Nyx. It's a, like I said, relatively humble temple. You can see the entrance of it has these large 5 stone columns, each of which seems to be marked at the front with the symbols of the 5 gods. One for Valis, for Kyra, for Mithros, Vulcan, and Pythor. Noticeably much smaller than the Temple of Sidon. Though it's interesting that you sort of complement the architecture of the Temple of Sidon, because though this temple is much more humble in its size and stature, the finer details of its architecture are actually much higher. A higher level of artistry, boasting lofty architecture all throughout it, and along with beautiful statues and depictions of the 5 gods in these sort of recessed carvings. Definitely seems like the god of the forge is not just experienced at metalwork, but all sorts of crafting.
Grandfather's seems to have been built out of fear, whereas this one for the 5 was built out of love.
That is most of the history between the two. The greatest difference between the Titans and the gods. Titans in the history of Thylea, at least the twins, rule in fear. They force those to submit to them, to worship them. And the 5, some say, were created out of love. Some theorize that it was the love of Thylea herself that even created the 5 to protect the newfound children of the lands, the settlers.
I see.
I didn't think it was possible for an entity so great to be able to show some compassion. I always thought you had to be afraid of those who were more powerful above you.
Wait a minute. Kara, how were you born? You look right here.
Kira, how is Babby made?
God damn it!
What is it you're asking, Theomos?
What is, I guess, the origin of you gods?
What do you mean by you god?
We came into being in Thylea when Thylea needed us most. Oh no.
Is this our bedtime story?
Is that the ice cream truck?
It's my 6 o'clock alarm. Yeah, there is not an ice cream truck, unfortunately, sorry.
Okay, but like, how or when?
When was when the city, this city was in a much humbler state and was in the midst of being laid low by the forces of Sidon and Thylea. Almost A little over 500 years ago now. Forces of the Dragon Lords were not in a good place. Many dragons had finally been defeated. You see her sort of noticeably hesitate at that point. And out of desperation, we came into being.
Noticing that hesitation, I want to insight her.
Sure.
See if she's hiding stuff.
Oh my god, it never occurred to me Azorius might have been there when the gods first arrived.
My insight's actually terrible. As I'm insighting her, I'm trying to feel her emotions with some empathy and some psychicness. Well, I don't think I could do anything, but I will roll it anyways. 6.
Noise.
You think maybe the hesitation was out of sadness, maybe? I don't know. Hard to tell.
None of those are a D20. What is this?
The psionic talent die isn't a D20. That'd be absurd.
Oh, I see. They roll all the dice at once. Okay, I was very confused. So you just take the 3 because you're rolling the D8.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just go shrug and wait for John to come back to do what he was going to do.
What an ill-timed series of events. Would now be a good time for you to receive the message, Sophia?
Is it in writing?
It is.
Sure. Since we're waiting for, well, someone to come out of his coma.
We should be looking for him.
As we are slowly walking into the temple. No, if he flew up into the top tower, he could be looking for any number of things. I just want to make sure he doesn't cause an unnecessary commotion in there. I know some of the clergymen, or at least the clergymen in my time, they were skittish. Bill, I wish he wouldn't be so impulsive.
He doesn't appear quite as robust as our compatriots. I don't know if he'll survive one of those thunderbolts.
But if he's inside, he shouldn't get hit by one.
Plus, if he causes problems in the Temple of the Gods, I'm sure Sidon won't, thunderbolt him. He'll probably, I don't know, give him a thunderbolt to wield or something.
He's holding his tongue, if you know what
I highly doubt.
If Sophia reads her letter, I'll read over her shoulder. I'll just hover over her shoulder.
I smite him.
You know, it's funny. I was talking a big game, but now I can't find the damn thing. Classic.
Never mind. It seems I've left it in my other stomach.
More or less, yes.
Does the Caledron like open up and she just has like a lazy Susan like rotating of compartments inside her? Like
Yeah,
the little
she's,
a little washing machine, it just like rotates to present out of her gut what it is she means to give you.
Exactly.
I want it to be an actual vending machine where I have to press like B7 to get what I want out of her stomach.
Yeah, she opens up and it's just a grid, and it just displays all of her contents, and you have to push the right button for her to dispense what it is you're looking for.
Get stuck, we gotta pick her up and shake her to get her to fall out of her.
Sophia just like bangs on her because she's too small to shake her and needs Theamos. Like, hey Theamos, you can touch the top. Can you just shake her?
Oh.
Till my candy bar falls out, please.
Well.
Player notes. Hey, player notes. I'm smart. Show just to whatchamacallit.
I was having that same moment. I could have sworn I had a slur that I called the other Stygians, and I couldn't fucking find it anywhere in my notes. So, I don't know what it was.
It's fine. Nothing of value was lost. There you
Ouch.
Fuck other Stygians.
go. It is underneath story and player notes.
Story and player notes. Where would the first step of that path be?
Journal entries, little tablet.
And the story?
Yep, the story and player notes. Yeah, sets only, you should be able to see it.
What?
I'm assuming Sophia is trying to keep it to herself.
Yar. Is it a curt response?
It is.
Okay.
I sent Darius to just go, just go softly land on Sophia's shoulder. Nestle in there and just cuddle with Sophia,
So I put the note in his mouth and cast Shatter on him.
God!
God, did Clyde turn off the whole breaker box?
I wouldn't be
It took him a long time, I believe so.
Yeah, last time it took him a while too. But I feel like even now it's taking a little longer.
Well, you know what that means. It's time
There
to
he
go play
is.
Secret Tunnel. Oh, gone.
He popped back into the game. We're looking at his crotch at this point.
Yeah, I know. I can't fix that.
it's Mercury and Sophia crotch is all we
It's
get.
the most, like, not a bardic thing that could happen here.
Nope. Yeah, Sophia just reads it. If Theamos is being a nosy Nancy, I'll just tell him. Looks like everything is well for Davos. You'll have a report for Vulcan, I suppose, later. So I'll just tuck the note into my short blouse.
Into your layers of clothing.
I actually don't know what the difference between a blouse and a shirt is. Is there anything besides just... It's just a sex name?
Frills.
No.
Frills.
Not
Blouse, a blouse would be more form-fitting and tends to have some embellishments along it, like ruffly collar, poof shoulders.
Also, I'm pretty sure the buttons are reversed.
That's just women's clothing in general. The buttons on women's
Weird.
clothing are on the other side than on men's clothing.
Yeah.
And our suits, like a woman's blazer, is not designed to be unbuttoned easily. So, like, I know when they sit down, they, like, unbutton their suit or whatever, but that's very, very difficult on a woman's suit. I learned that in a theater show once. I was told that trick, and I struggled for 3 seconds trying to make it happen. It did not happen.
I only know that from an old Nickelodeon show.
There you go. Or you know.
The more you know.
But yeah, a blouse is a specific type of shirt.
So anyway, we go to the palace and, save the day.
So when John comes back, we just tell him that the session's over, right? That we did everything for lulz and pranks?
Sounds good to me.
Kira
Yeah, okay.
disowned him for,
Congratulations. Congratulations on your easy recap, Nikishi.
I wonder if we can get Chad in on it.
Hey. Is John amongst the living once more?
I reinforced the power button with a steel plate.
Hey, there you go.
The tape wasn't enough, so we put a steel plate over it.
Is that what took you a little longer?
blowtorch.
You laugh. It's there. I'll show you.
That's like challenge accepted.
Take a picture of this button because it's like, how is it so easy for him to get to it?
I'll send it to you in the court.
Yeah, so it
So I
seems like
heard that you guys are pinata, so that's good.
Yeah, everyone else is coming after you, it seems, as you fly into the temple. And like I was saying, it's, you know, it's humble, but at the same time, as you sort of enter in, you see a high level of artistry all throughout it. Fine details, very nicely carved. It seems, like Nick sort of put it, carved out of love rather than just a sort of fearful respect. Depictions of all the five gods in various inlaid reliefs and, you know, sort of complete with gilding or the inlay of precious metals and stones. It's a very tastefully elegant. As you fly in, you can feel now, I'm assuming you've been flying this whole time, Mercury?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, going through the entire city, sort of pushing yourself into the temple. You can certainly feel just a degree of strain against your wings now, combating the strong gales of wind from this storm over time.
Oh, you were walking, because you're using them as an umbrella.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're walking.
Okay, yeah, so if you were walking...
I had my
okay,
umbrella.
Cool. Yeah, and then you were just shielding yourself with your wings. But yeah, if you'd been flying this whole time, you'd definitely feel some strain. As what are you doing as you come into the temple now? And everyone else sort of.
I want to check out.
After.
I want to check out like each of the idols and see like who is worshipped the most, and especially pay attention to Kira's.
Yeah, so there is a collection of various depictions of them, but the grandest seems to be this array of five sort of life-size, if not slightly embellished, depictions of the five gods sort of arranged in this sort of half-circle, semicircle, with each one having offerings laid before each statue. Each one equally beautiful, though there is a noticeable preference for... Give me an investigation check. That's gonna be easy.
No, it won't.
Yeah, so sort of looking at the depictions of the five gods, it feels like... I mean... Kira's statue on Yavin was definitely better looking than this. You look at this, and you're like, well, this is nice. It looks like her. She looks really pretty and elegant, and I mean, but like, where's her golden laurel? Where are the beautiful brass canaries? Where are all of the adornments and finery given to her that you're used to her depictions on Yavin? And you don't see them here. You know, you just see a degree of reserve or reservation, rather. And sort of looking at the other statues, you can see with Mitros in the center of the five, it's apparent to you immediately that she is the one that is given the most reverence and elegance in her statuesque depiction. And then in terms of the sacrifices, the various offerings to the gods, you notice also, again, that Kyra's is rather bare.
I'm gonna pull out one of those crystals I stole from the cave place that is like super rare and unique, and I'm gonna put it in front of her statue.
Clunk. Lands on the stone. You can see it just sort of rock back and forth a little bit, trying to find an even facet to rest against before it settles. You can see just out of the corner of your eye the group sort of coming around the corner and catching up with you, Kyra in the middle of them.
Mercury, if you wanted a tour, we could have done that after our meeting with the king and queen.
Well, I mean, I just was gonna be real quick. I could be right back outside.
Then
Why
at
y'all
the very
following me?
least, tell us what you're doing. You're very impulsive and unpredictable. And if this is the place I got to my start, I am not comfortable with you just flying in and out haphazardly.
Well,
I'm angry.
I mean, in all honesty, Nix, I don't really care if you're comfortable with me flying in or out of a temple. I mean, worship is for an individual to do. It's not so much of dictating how one person can worship versus another.
I understand that. The problem is, I don't know if you're here for worship or here to make an ass of yourself.
I mean, if I was gonna make an ass of myself, it'd definitely be over by Siden's temple.
I do not think you need to try, to be quite honest.
Oh my.
I'm sensing a lot of hostilities here, and I'm gonna just put this note here to not do this. We have a mission, and we're gonna go do that mission. You made your sacrifice, even though, like, why'd you make a sacrifice? She's right here. Just give it to her.
Well,
But
I mean,
also,
I want everyone else in the city to understand how great Kira is.
okay, that makes sense. But actually, I kind of sent back to Kara. You said you're not popular here. Why? Just kind of whispering, not drawing attention to everyone in the temple.
I feel like attention's been drawn.
It's relatively empty, to be fair. Most people are trying to stay inside. So you guys are sort of... This place would be much more populated if it wasn't currently hurricaning outside. But with the persistent hurricane, it's relatively empty. And you see Kira sort of look at you, Theamos, and you see something you haven't in a while from her. This sort of devilish grin, the sort of smile just creep across her face for just a moment. One of sort of reminiscent of like a satyr when they're about to tell a dirty joke. Before you can see her face sort of drop again, and she sort of just puckers her lips for a moment. I am more than what a lot of people like to handle on a day-to-day basis. I am reverence and happiness and music and joy, but I am that all the time. And that can drive people up the wall, I think is the phrase.
So you're crazy. Got it.
No. I think what she's saying is that the people of Mitros don't know how to have a party.
That isn't
You've
true
been quite
either.
quiet when you're around us.
Well, regardless, we should probably continue on to the palace.
Yeah, let's go.
It doesn't
Unless
make a very
anyone
good
else,
impression.
does anyone else need to worship? I mean, you're free to.
We can do that later.
You see Kyra sort of shoot a knowing glance at you, Atreus, at that phrase, and seems to sort of just like continue to look at you a little bit longer. That is on purpose. Well, hopefully Demetrius is still waiting for us. As you guys come back out of the temple, and you can see him just standing by at an overhang, waiting for you guys to come back out. Didn't expect you all to head in there.
Neither did I.
Oh, it is just a quick in and out.
Got it. All right, gotta go up the stairs, and we'll be there.
So, Kira, so is Valis married to this guy? If he's the king, or like, is it some other guy, or like?
Asking Kira?
Yeah.
Yes, they have been married for some time now.
Huh.
Did she sound very happy about that answer? When
She-
said it?
With your passive insight, it seemed very much like a neutral delivery. Of like, yes, Montana is a state. Yes, they have been married for a while.
How long ago were they married?
You would know that.
Yeah.
It was a pretty big deal. It was, check.
Oh, 32 years ago, I believe, right? Or were they married before he became king?
No, he became king before he had a queen. 14 years.
Do I remember if there was a pretty big party?
There was. The crowning of King Acastus was a pretty big deal. It was the return of the Dragon Lord bloodline to royalty. It was a pretty big deal. The Queen Valis was holding stewardship over the city for some time before then, and with him returning, it was a proper king once more.
So who controls most of the city? Is it like a unified thing, or is it like the king's in charge and here's, the queen just over there?
Are you asking factually or what it is Theamos would know?
What would Theamos know?
Give me a history check. Relatively easy, DC.
As
See how involved you are in Mytrosian politicking.
As my mind goes into the past and views distant memories as I psychic them. I'm just going to type everything.
Yeah, you have the brain powers. Use them.
Okay.
Oh, I hate that I can't.
Ooh, an
understand
8,
or read
right?
any of that.
Because it didn't. It doesn't decrease from that, right?
Only if it maxes. So now it's after this 8, it's going to do the D6s.
That beautiful white text on white background.
So 14. Yeah, with a 14, your knowledge of the history and politics of Mitros with that would tell you that there has been sort of a long-standing relationship with the crown, as it were, the sort of royal palace, and the very, very influential noble court and caste of Mitros. The noble district is a powerful force, the keys to power in Mitros. And so it has often been said that the king or queen wears the crown, but the nobility has a great deal of influence over Mitros, with some royalty having been deposed for losing the keys to power historically.
Okay.
With Acastus, there is a perception, and you would believe that Acastus holds the majority of the power. Queen Valis taking a much more secondary role, especially after he came into power, and sort of just attending to her more religious and medical duties is the perception.
Okay. So is this like typical Greek? Like typical Greek where like women are the property and they just get the fuck out? And like the men rule everything?
There definitely seems to be that sort of bend amongst things, though there are a few notable female nobles, especially with both some houses of some noble houses that are still in power, and famously you would know one that you travel with. The Akramatikos family has always been skewing, I believe, matriarchal.
Well, let's go see the king.
Yeah. As you guys go up, let me bring you back on over here. Yeah.
Man, I'm surprised how strong those birds are to be flying in a hurricane.
They're storm birds.
Then New Roxville.
And 1-1 flying for 1. It's great.
Ha ha ha.
You guys climb up those last set of stairs up to the actual palace. You can see, standing at the top of this very high and sort of lengthy, winding stairway, this place is much more similar in its depiction to the Temple of the Five than it is the Temple of Sidon. It's much shorter. The only reason it seems to be higher than the Temple of Sidon is due to the elevated earth that it rests upon. But it's a much more humble-looking building with fine artistry sort of hidden away and needing to be looked for rather than trying to be necessarily ostentatious. At least that's what the outside belies. though there's lots of sort of civic buildings, you can see some sort of marked off for taking care of legal matters throughout the city, some administrative buildings. It seems like this palace is much more complicated and centralized than the one that you experienced in Astoria. And rather than seeing statues to the gods, you can see the actual palace itself is decorated, it seems, with a series of royal seals and large sort of bronze tablets inscribing the legal codes of the city and some of its founding sort of declarations from when the city was first created. And sort of coming up through this place, you have to make your way through this sort of large garden. And before you get to that, Demetrius sort of bids you all farewell after clearing your guys' entrance with a second set of centurions. And they sort of seem to follow after you now, escorting you over to the actual palace proper, where the king himself resides. And they seem to sort of stop short of this large, sort of like hedge-like maze. It doesn't, or not hedge-like maze, a sort of hedge-like garden and park area. You can see these sort of large sort of water fixtures that seem to not be functioning in the storm, just filled with pooling water. And as you approach, you can feel on your skin, maybe it's just the rain, it has gotten noticeably colder coming up here. And moving over to this section, you can see as you breathe out, your breath fogging in front of you, whereas going all throughout the city, it was relatively warm. It was kind of a hot rain. But here, it is much, much colder.
Yeah.
Bring you on over here.
Very interesting.
There is one. Yeah, can I put it right there?
No.
Okay. As you guys enter into this sort of hedge, sort of maze area before the palace up in front of you, you're just instructed to walk forward. As give me a second to put a marker down for you.
You do not own any tokens with vision on this scene. Oh, darkness. Shit, are there spider webs all over the floor?
It's cross-hatching.
Yeah, look at that pretty crosshatch.
It is nice.
It shouldn't be quite that dark. Let me lighten it up for you a little bit.
Darkness envelops us.
Scream has like no vision. Hey, there we go.
Grab a torch.
Is it like actually this dark up here?
Oh my gosh, look at all them
Yeah,
people!
Around the tree. They guard the tree.
I hope that's a tree. That's a bunch of dirty diapers.
That's where all the toilet rolls are.
Yep. It's their COVID stash.
Nyx is gonna start walking on ahead.
And moving on ahead with you, you can see more of these heavily armed individuals, this large set of bronze armor, that same blue-white, the same markings of the Centurions, all standing in a sort of wrapped-around phalanx position, shields at the ready, spears sort of pointed up, not really preparing to fight anything, just standing, it seems, like in this perpetual guard, not of a tree, but a massive, absolutely massive pile of silver.
Wow. Wait, why would anyone need that much silver? Holy cow. I don't like this.
Is that an odd sight? Is that weird?
Definitely seems weird. You're looking at a lot of money just sort of piled on the ground.
I mean, you said it was silver, not lepta, so I mean, it's not technically in coinage form yet.
Ha.
Bitcoins?
I go up to one of the soldiers.
Whose soldiers are these again? Are these Sidons?
No.
No.
Are they?
No.
They're just my
They're
Trojan.
centurions.
Yeah.
I go up to one of the Centurions. What is this?
They're looking forward. Seems
They
like
won't
unmoving.
respond.
Well, I don't think they talk like when they're on duty.
If it's our business to know, perhaps the
Patience.
king and queen will tell us themselves.
Right? Is it?
Looks like an offering.
Oh,
Oh yeah, it probably is.
interesting.
King's up ahead. Probably. Yeah. Okay. We're just.
Yeah, looking
alright, we're
up
gonna
ahead,
go.
you can see just the palace building.
Oh, get back here, Torch. You think they're gonna offer that to Sidon? I bet you they're gonna offer that to Sidon.
Unfortunately, probably yes.
Then Sidon be like, "Oh, murder 100,000 people for me too."
They almost cheating.
That's just me.
Oh my.
Let's see. We'll move up towards the Great Palace itself and see these beautiful glass mirrors that seem to have these wonderful mural sort of cast into them, it seems. More centurions up here as well. And now it seems like people actually sort of recognizing, not really you all, but the goddess that travels with you. Not really giving reverence, just understanding that if she's with you, you're supposed to be here. Pair of centurions walks on either side of you, sort of leading you now, it seems, to what they called an antechamber or the King's Hall, interchangeably. Saying that the king is in the middle of a meeting, but it is one that they believe he would want your attendance at.
A quick question. How come you all can talk, but a lot of the other ones can't? Like, if you're on like guard duty or something, you can't talk, or?
It is supposed to be a sign of respect. You're guarding something precious. All of your attention should be on your duty, not on making idle chit-chat.
Okay, I guess. I mean,
Makes perfect sense to me.
back on Yavin, if we were guarding something, for Kira, we'd usually be singing and celebrating about it. It was a joy. It was an honor. You celebrate it.
Well, different people have different ways of showing respect.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's their right to.
Okay, where are you going with this?
I just think it's interesting seeing how different people handle stress.
Though stoic,
Joel.
they did appear stressed.
Sort of, as Bart sort of comments on the discussion, you can hear the sort of scrape of metal as the two centurions seem to sort of come to a stop. Reminds me, is there somewhere you would like us to have your servant wait for you?
Servant? There's no servants here. Well, other than the metal one.
Referring to the Minotaur.
The Minotaur is one of our companions, not a servant, and I would thank you to refer to him as such.
Yeah, he's one of the chosen.
Inferior. Different places have different ways.
Indeed, however, that does not mean that they have the right to disrespect our companion. I have corrected, and now I wish for that to be respected. He is one of us.
Make
It was
sure
an
the
honest
misunderstanding.
mistake, but it is corrected now.
Nick stands next to Inferior looking at the guard that started this. Be sure the misunderstanding doesn't happen again.
That is an assurance I cannot provide. I won't speak for everyone in the city, but
It's fine,
I'll be
we'll
sure
correct
to
them all.
tell my friends at lunch that the Minotaur of the Oracle's Chosen is a part of the Oracle's Chosen.
Yeah, his name is
He is.
Bartholomeus. Bartholomeus.
And he-
Mercury.
Bartholomeus.
Yes, thank you, sir.
I appreciate everyone speaking up for me, but tell your men that if they do it again, I'll be the one correcting them.
You see him sort of look up at you, Bartholomeus. He's only about 6 feet tall to your 8. You see him sort of pucker his lips. I'll be sure to mention it.
Perhaps we should move on.
Occurrences like that may happen more frequently here in Nitros.
And we should probably learn how to handle it a little more diplomatically.
Trust me, you'll get plenty of practice.
Yep.
Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anyone. Ah! Your entourage grows. Where's Kefalonia? There she is. Yeah.
Yeah, every time we
Kira
every
will pop
time
up at some point.
we pass through a map, we just grab another NPC to join us.
Yep. Eventually I just have to
To
load-
the fucking
load
end of the
entire
whole game.
Yep.
Like, hold on. There's 475.
I didn't say like for combat, just when we do like group travel, we just pluck off NPCs from like various spots.
Like at the end, in a crowd of 1,000 people. Funnily enough, all 1,000 of them are part of your entourage. Celebrate.
We need our fans.
And as you're brought to your destination, the antechamber, you can see these large, magnificent doors, very reminiscent, in fact, of the ones you saw in the Dwarven Citadel. That seem to be like the entrance to Chris Strax's lair. Again, the sort of beautiful depiction of both battle and reverence and worship. You can see the city of Mitros depicted in a much smaller fashion than its current state, seemingly sheltered and protected by a ring of the 5 gods, but seemingly depicted over them, you can see what looks like a sort of a human visage, a very large and powerfully depicted man riding atop of a gorgeous silver dragon and seemingly sort of sitting above the gods even. And the people of Mitros being sheltered from unknown horrors at the very bottom. As anyone who's sort of looking at this and sort of curious, give me an investigation check.
Yeah.
As they start to sort of push open the doors.
Why not?
Investigation.
Hey,
I'm
actually.
horrible at
that was-
investigation.
Oh, they almost wins!
I rolled the wrong thing. I rolled intimidation by accident.
Yes.
Investigation.
You will tell me your secrets, door!
All to die.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, it's just delayed. Oh shit. Whoops.
Sophia's over there.
It wasn't going.
I'll examine it again and again and again.
I think
and
your
again.
first
Sophia
one
got
was,
a
it's so
12.
bad because like the first one was the worst one.
Yeah.
That's the way the news goes.
So
All right.
18, 24,
Yeah.
18, 18, 12.
So like Mercury, Inferior, Theamos, Nyx, even Bart. You can tell just sort of by looking at this as it's being pushed open, that depiction atop, the dragon above the gods even, It's very nice looking, but it's also, there's just something about it that makes it evident to you. Some small detail or some contrast in sort of patina in the metal between that section and everything beneath it. But that's a much newer addition to the door than everything else.
I have a bit of a bad feeling about this.
Why's that?
Well,
Which is the part that's the...
Does it look like a depiction of the Dragon Lords of the past, or does it look like it's in a different art styling?
Or
it looks like
the
a
dragon
much
we saw.
newer, it looks like a much more modern art styling than the older depictions of the Dragon Lords. And there's only one of them. Usually the Dragon Lords were depicted in groups or pairings.
Hey, Centurion, did they do some recent work on the door?
As one of them starts opening up the door. I wouldn't know. I haven't been here that long.
Who's supposed to be on that dragon?
This is King Acastus. The doors open up.
I
You
too
can
have
see
a bad feeling about this now.
the antechamber before you.
I think I get what's happening. It's kind of familiar.
I don't recall.
So walk into the light.
Interesting.
It was kind of like a self-depreciating joke. So I'm trying to expand in my joke horizons.
It's still awful.
I'll give everyone a chance to load in.
It says game paused. I can't do anything.
Yeah, I know.
God, I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Yes.
You're right.
Alright, we'll let you off this time, but remember that the name Oracle's chosen won't save you next time.
As one second. Yeah. As you enter into the antechamber proper, the sounds of the rains outside seem to have been reaching even into a lot of the areas of the palace you've been walking through. But that falls away, now replaced by, it sounds like, just yelling and arguing. I'm telling you, what needs to be done needs to be done. We can't give in to the whims of the gods. Look, it is just a matter of course. This cannot be a rash decision. You hear a flurry of voices off in the distance, sort of bickering and arguing between each other. And strangely enough, it is framed by a beautiful day. There is a massive, almost 30-foot window, it seems, depicting just a beautiful view of the Mytrosian skyline. There is not a drop of rain to be seen. There is just sunny days and a beautiful sky, birds flying throughout. It looks like everything is fine, looking through that massive window off in the distance. As you all enter in, you can see the arguing continuing, some of the individuals up at the very top of this pointing fingers at each other, not really paying any notice to you.
Any of the voices sound familiar?
One of them definitely does. A sort of deep, gruff sternness.
Y'all smell that?
Oh, best friend.
Best friend.
I start light jog, not really jogging, but like hasting, fast walk
Briskly
for people.
walking.
Power walk.
Power walk, that's the word.
I don't suppose they told us too that we had to remove our weapons, huh?
Nope.
They have not given that instruction.
Where's
Hot
Ibis?
dog.
Ibis?
Oh, he's dead.
Me having my sword is not a sign of aggression.
It's okay. I mean, if we start to fight, all these statues come alive and they're all
There's
CR-55.
Ibis.
I see you're still the bickering type, Gaius.
I thought I smelt you.
Sort of looks down at you all. Now, who on earth invited this clown? I had heard that you all had some ill exchange, but I did not think it was so much to drive even you that upset, Gaius. It is fine. I have been meaning to meet with these oracles chosen and see what it is that they can offer the city of Mitros. You see the large, well-muscled, sort of wearing this sort of decorative, but it's like a mixture of gaudy and humble. It's like reserved, but at the same time, obviously regal and impressive. Breastplate and this bright, shiny, polished gold laurel crown. I have heard rumors of all of those who travel with you, but present yourselves. I am Acastus, King of Mitros.
Atreus.
I am Nyx, woman of the cloth within this group, worshipper of the five.
Well, I'm Mercury. Yeah, that's pretty much all. Yeah.
Palmaias.
Slide my ass up here.
You slide it up there. Yeah.
I'm Thylea.
Sophia Achromaticos.
The Achromaticos family.
Yes. The once heir.
I have not seen your family in my court for some time, young lady. Are you responsible for that?
Many would say so.
Oft exploring the lands of Thylea, it seems. Well, I hope you are to join us once again, once you find yourself. This lot here has been trying to advise me on the situation outside. He seems to sort of flash this bright and not cheery, just sort of confident smile at you all, and you can't help but for a moment appreciate it. Like there's just something weirdly charming about him.
Yes.
I mean, have they been advising you well?
Have you not seen it yourself?
Of course I've seen it. Of course, we have tried a few rituals and hoping that it was a natural occurrence, but it is obviously not. Some would say it is a punishment from Sidon. You can sort of hear this grunt of agreement and sort of nod curtly from Gaius. Others believe that the city has come under some sort of curse. Each of them have their own ideas on what it is to do, but I have received a bit of information from some of my scholarly aides, looking into the legends of the past, looking into magic as well. I have heard that there are ways to correct this problem, and I wonder if the oracles chosen, the so-called heroes of Thylea, would perhaps be able to lend their aid.
Sure, what you got?
Yeah.
Well, I have more or less 4 solutions in mind in listening to these lot. Save for my wonderful wife, who has not really chimed in except to dissuade me. There were rumors that the dragon lords of old, some of the more notable of their members, could control very powerful magics, and were even rumored to contest the storms of Sidon in the First War. Are any of you able to cast such magic?
Atreus looks to the party.
None of us are dragon lords, Your Majesty.
I don't know what the power level is to answer that.
You're not it.
Oh, so then we're all just looking at each other then,
Nope.
expecting someone to pipe up.
Not quite yet.
The rumors of your deeds are already spreading across the lands. I Surely you all would be mighty enough to command such magic, but I suppose not.
I believe our prowess lies in other areas.
Was there not the great boar that you sacrificed out in the Heartlands?
Yes.
Perhaps
Yes,
if you
it was
had
us.
the wisdom to sacrifice it to Sidon, we wouldn't be seeing this issue. But it is no matter.
You think sacrifices to Sidon will end this?
That is the answer that my wonderful consort here, he sort of looks down with a degree of warmth and based on your passive insight and experience, Inferior, especially you, a degree of also sort of lechery at the woman at his feet. Bella, what was your suggestion again? A hecatomb, was it not? Yes, my king. I figured it was what we did whenever Sidon was upset, so I thought, why not simply sacrifice the oxen? Yes, that would be potentially the answer, but that would be now calling on about half the livestock of the city. We cannot afford such a cost. To trade with Aresia to replenish it would be a substantial fund.
As substantial as the mound of silver in your courtyard?
Icarus is... what's the word? Blanking on the word. There we go, I'll use that. Icarus's generosity is to be commended, but it is not that much. Even for me. Icarus! My dragon!
I had heard rumors of a dragon, but this is the first confirmation.
The silver is his dragon's hoard.
Well, I mean, it's probably not his whole hoard. It's probably a portion of it.
Right you are, winged man. Mercury, right?
Yeah, I mean, just ask guys about the last time someone tried to sacrifice something to Sidon and how that all went.
A sacrifice by combat and a proper offering are two different things, you whelp. You should understand
Yes,
that.
but you were willing. Yes, but you thought it was a fair enough trade. Instead of a proper sacrifice, a sacrifice by combat with the oracles chosen. Did you not? That was your wonderful idea that you brought to Sidon, wasn't it?
Listen,
he's become
King,
mute.
as he sort of turns away from you all, turning back to the King. I'm telling you, the best way to see this resolved is what I was saying. We tear down the Temple of the Five. That smear on our beautiful city is a sign of disrespect to Sidon. I assure you, if the Temple of the Five is removed, Sidon's storm will clear away in due time.
And if Sidon demands that this very city be wiped or changed because it is named after one of the five, are you to follow that order too?
We would simply rename it, you fool.
Yeah, and then it'll be like, alright, you're gonna sacrifice the king, and then you gotta sacrifice the queen, and then you gotta sacrifice everybody.
The demands will never end.
Is that not why his temple is the largest? He demands more and more and more. There's no
His
satiating
temple is the largest because his followers want to pay him proper respect.
Because they are afraid of him, you mean?
Because they revere his gifts and bounty. The seas feed Mitros in addition to its livestock. The seas provide trade. It is Sidon's blessing that we sail across it.
And on a whim, Sidon will boil those seas, incinerating anything that lives within it. That is what he had done in the past.
That's true.
I don't expect you to remember. You are one of the short-lived. But my mother witnessed it firsthand. Before it finally calmed.
Due to the actions of the Dragon Lords and the Five.
Exactly. It was those foolish dragon lords who thought they could stand up to the Titan. As you can see, Caster sort of stick out a hand and Gaius catch note of it before catching himself before he launches into another tirade. Yes, Gaius, I understand how you feel, and I understand how your sect feels as well. Worship of the Five has descended in time. He sort of looks over at Valis. If tearing down the Temple of the Five would bring into the storm, it is not without proper consideration. I would want to see the city see day again, especially at my order. King Acastus makes the sun rise.
I would caution you, Your Majesty. It may not be obvious, but I come from the island of Themis with the Amazons. They faced a dilemma similar, whether to shift worship to be entirely one of the Titans, and the monarch who, well, bowed to Lutheria is the same monarch that then caused the ruin of Themis. That decision to be cautious and bow to the Titan rather than continue to resist is what murdered most of her people.
You said your scholars had given you several other options. What are the others? If it's not the magic, if it's not the temple, there are two more.
The Hecatomb being one of the possible answers, but the cost enormous. And, well, sort of looks over at the Stygian of blue color, sort of sharp, angular, one might say even pretty face. We would see it that an offering be made to Lutheria, her whims able to bend the ear of Sidon. If 50 or so new devotees were to be granted to the cult of Lutheria, we could see the rituals commenced. We could
That's
see...
probably
sort of shoots
an
you a
even
nasty
worse.
look.
I will interrupt you, yes. I think that's even probably a worse idea than bowing to Sidon. The cult of Lutheria is a very dangerous thing.
Very powerful one as well, the king responds to.
Yes, one that sees murder as a form of sacrifice.
That has yet to be proven in any court in the city, though there are rumors. You have witnessed it yourself.
Yes, that is what drove me from Themis. There were only 4 of us survivors that escaped.
That is simply the work of zealots, those who have lost themselves in debauchery. The cult of Lutheria in Mithros is much more reserved, my king. You know this. We supply the city with its wine and goods, the fineries of life. We have been well behaved, as you say.
And the
John,
4th option?
Those are our options. The Hecatomb,
Might have missed.
Sidon, Lutheria, and I was hoping your might was greater than it actually is, apparently. A shame what rumors can breed.
We could always investigate the situation ourselves. We are entering with only rumors as far as information.
See him sort of look at his various advisors, sort of pausing for a longer moment looking at Bella.
If I may, um, there's one person I would really like to hear from. It would be my aunt, Valis. Is she here? I can't tell. It's really small. I can't zoom in down.
I think that's her.
No, I think that's Bella.
No, that's the advisor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, is Valis here? She
There
is
it
the
is.
goddess of wisdom.
There she is.
So you sort of stand up from sitting cross-legged on a small, comfortable stool, walking past Commander Gaius.
I want to look at Kira and see what she's doing right now.
You can see, sort of turning back and looking at Kira, you see her sort of reaching back behind herself and pulling off of her back that very strange-looking amalgamation of strings and wood, and that guitar off of her back, and holding it at her side, and sort of just looking up at her sister. And then when her sister seems to look over at her, she sort of looks back down at the ground, looking, it seems like, at the ground or at the back of Theomos's head. And it is at that moment that the very beautiful and elegant Queen Valis speaks once again. The proposed solutions could work, though the cult of Lutheria will never see more children added to its ranks while I am Queen Chandris, sort of shooting a glance over at the Stygian. You would do well to leave these chambers. You see him just sort of scowl at her before it seems like sort of bringing up his hands wreathed in smoke and just calling open, it seems like a door, it seems, just behind him and leaping through it.
Bye.
It's a relief.
The city of Mitros cannot withstand this storm much longer. Its sewers have not been repaired, and if they fail, the flooding will be immense. The damages and loss of life, the same. If destroying the Temple of the Five is what it takes to call an end to this storm, we can weather such a loss. Sister, we don't need to do that. What was that, Kyra? We don't need to destroy the temple. I found it. I managed to go back and find what was lost. Sort of see her sort of shift her glance at the guitar at her side.
Just bouncing between both of them.
See. Acastus, my king, she sort of turns quite sharply, sort of halfway, sort of facing off where Chandris was, sort of looking back at him. I would appreciate some time to discuss this matter with my sister and propose a solution to the storm that will result in success. Are you sure? I need time to discuss it first. Cast us in storm over Mitros. Guaranteed to be some of the crowning headlines, and I was not looking forward to dealing with lecherous king destroys wife's temple. Oh, I'm sure we could spin it. Fine. Commander Gaius, your suggestion has been received. It is our backup plan. Right? Should the efforts of Valis and Kyra's discussion prove fruitless, we'll proceed with what it is you have suggested. I'm sure my popularity can weather the blow. Bella, dear, I have been desiring your company. Would you accompany me? Of course. king stands up from his throne. See a stark contrast to Pythor. No signs of a beer gut. He seems to sort of just be in peak physical condition as he sort of grabs the hand of Bella and departs down one of the side stairwells. And Valis, send a courier to deliver your plan, would you? I have no need for this meeting. Valis sort of shift a little awkwardly at that. As you wish.
Can I insight check to see if they fucking?
Who?
I think it's a little obvious.
Those two.
Bella.
Yeah, sort of listening to the way Acastus talks about her, sort of the way he's picking up her hand and leading her off. It is immediately obvious to you, Mercury, especially one is so involved in the perhaps sordid tales of Thylea.
Good.
Belladonna is obviously a concubine.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, man, if I can't fucking figure that one out. Did Valis look kind of hurt?
That will require an insight check.
Well, I mean, I'll give it. I mean, it can be good, but
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Hey, that's not too
Insight.
shabby.
Insight incoming.
Oof.
Damn.
Battle.
Oof.
Yeah, Mercury, you can definitely tell there was a response, though you're not really sure what it means. You notice that sort of awkward shuffle and stuck out to you as sort of being a sort of subconscious response to his behavior. But how exactly that translates to how Valis is feeling, you can't put together. You can probably make some inferences, but they'll have to be whatever you think.
Oh, I'm gonna infer.
Turns over to Gaius. Gaius.
Yeah, you might want to go outside, freshen up.
Goodbye, Gaius. He's a great guy.
Sort of Valis just seems to sort of step halfway down the stairs and then raise a hand, not it seems towards you, but towards her sister, sort of hiding, it almost seems, behind Infuria and Theamos and the rest of you. And she sort of weaves her way between you all. So I was thinking, not here, Kyra. I do not place a lot of trust in Chandris or Gaius. Meet me in my gardens. There we can discuss what it is you have planned. There is much work that needs to be done, anyway. Okay. Understood. Gardens. Got it. Valis,
Did the rest of us hear that? Or was that supposed to be, like, between the two of them?
No, you could hear it. She wasn't speaking loud enough, like, for you to purposely hear it, but you can hear it, especially how close you are.
We got ears.
As without really paying much mind to the rest of you, Valis just seems to sort of step back up and off.
Valis.
She
Aha.
does
She
not.
reappeared.
No, I put her back to tell you that she does not turn to stop and respond to you.
Oh.
Did that spark do anything for you?
Oh, she ran away.
Like, call out after her.
See her hesitate at the door. The offerings made to my worship are much appreciated by those who would offer them.
Should have given it to Sidon.
Hell no.
As Nyx, you are met with a strange degree of coldness.
Interesting.
Has she always been that way?
From Kyra.
I get a bad feeling about all this.
Well, I mean, maybe we
At
could
least you're
get a
not the
little.
one that got struck by lightning.
That's true.
That
Bad
Maybe we'll find out
feeling.
more in the garden.
guess.
Okay, which way is the garden then?
I go up to the glass and I put my hand on it and I'm trying to see if I feel the warmth. I obviously know it's an illusion, but I'm puzzled by it.
Yeah, as you move up towards the glass, you can hear the shift of metal and gear as it seems like one of the hoplites, the Centurions, sort of coming up the stairs towards you. But as you put your hand on the glass, you do feel a subtle degree of warmth. It's a pleasant contrast to the cold you've been walking in this last 3 days almost. I have to ask you to step away.
Yes, why is it that your king doesn't use this magic outside of this one room?
That I cannot answer. The king's whims is the king's whims.
Do you know if it was his magic?
That I do not. I would not be surprised if it was Valis, but it is no business of mine either way.
Curious that he would choose to purposely hide what's going on.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of seems like a fantastic leader and king, but he also looks like he kind of wants to look real good all the time.
That's kind of what my
God,
joke
what was
about.
Theomos' dad's name again? All I can think
Pythor.
about is Thor.
Pythor.
It's not Thor, it's Pythor.
Pythor.
Pythor. You saw how he dressed up in front of the nobles.
Oh.
Well, should we head to the
With-
garden, Kira?
With Pythor, it was just more, I don't know, bravado, but he seems desperate to look good.
All he talked about was his ratings on the headlines.
How it is the decision he makes can be spun into a way that does not make it look like he's made a bad one.
And that sign on the door with him above the guards?
Unsettling.
Concerning.
We should discuss this elsewhere.
He
Another
is a
adjective that I
great
can't
king.
Mercury.
So Kara, were we invited to this garden meetup?
I mean,
He seemed kind of ignore us.
to be honest, Amos, we weren't not invited.
There is that.
I think she would want you to attend. I'm honestly not certain.
We'll show up. If she does not want our presence, we will go. It's all right.
Get out of the way, statue. I push you out of the way. Fuck you, statue.
She's not
Yeah,
a statue, she's a robot.
Yeah, who
I
gives
am
a shit?
Kefalonia the Caledon.
I have feelings.
If we call her a girl, does she respond with not a girl?
Does it involve us, Kyra?
My
Person
plan?
incoming.
Yes.
And
I would hope so.
Then
would
we
think.
go.
perhaps we should wait to discuss this.
I mean, I ain't gonna leave your
Hello,
side.
warrior! Is that you?
Who?
Hylobia warrior. I
And
would
who said that?
recognize
This lady.
this very broad-shouldered, sort of strong-looking warrior coming up the stairs, calling out to, it seems, you, Impheria.
Oh! This lady.
That lady!
Wait, who's this
And
lady?
turning around at the sound of a old nickname, one we haven't heard in a really long
Really
time.
long time.
You see, Michaela.
Oh.
With a K or a C?
Yes.
With a K.
Hello.
I did not think I would see you in Mitros anytime soon. You seem so partial for the trees. It
Yes,
looks like you
well-
are well.
Yes. I mean, I've been, well, sucked into a bit of an adventure, I would say. You are also well?
Ah, yes. I am the leader of the Queen's Guard.
I should have guessed. I'm glad you found something.
I'm happy to have it. It helps me attend to those who are injured. I have cared
Right.
for them since we have arrived. Well, one of them anyway. And she sort of holds out an arm to you to sort of greet you in a very sort of refreshing and old-fashioned way. One of the Amazons clasping onto your forearm and pulling you in for a close hug. Well, are you with them?
Yes, these are my current companions. The Lady Kyra brought us together, and then, well, gosh, I found out I have an aunt, and
You
she's
do have
the-
family.
Yes, I'm not exactly a traditional dryad, I guess. But Aunt Versi is the oracle, actually, and she made a prophecy about all of us, so I've been with them for a while now.
Your aunt is the oracle. So that would mean
Yeah.
Sidon is your grandfather, then.
Unfortunately.
Oh, goodness, you have gotten yourself, it seems, in the midst of things once again, Inferior. I'm sure
Can't
you can
quite
handle
escape
it. It's been quite
Nyx leans-
capable.
Nyx leans over to Themos. This is the most comfortable I've seen her talking to anybody outside of us.
This is the most comfortable I've seen her talking in general.
Well met, companions of Inferior. I am Michaela, leader of the Queen's Guard. Valis has sent me to collect you. She wants you to meet her in the gardens.
I guess that
Oh, that
answers
was
that
a lot
question.
sooner.
Suppose that answers that twice now.
It was a lot sooner than I expected then.
Yeah, that was quick. Like, she just left.
I mean, she is a god.
I was
And Michaela
informed.
is
by
Oh, that's how
Max.
that's spelled. Okay, yeah, that's spelled weird. That's not the K I was thinking. Why do you put an H?
It's Makalala.
And you wonder
Macala.
why my recap notes have so many typos with the name.
Machala.
My name is Mac Holla.
It's the
Well,
number
then we-
18 on the menu.
Makahila.
Yes, then I believe we shall go to the gardens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you kind
Shall I
come
introduce
up
you
behind
to
you.
everyone first?
Yes. Who is this beautiful woman with you? As she sort of looks at you, Nyx.
Sophia.
Oh, that's Nyx. She's actually an Ore. Haven't met one before, so that was cool. She's been helping me along a lot. She's been around for a while. And then there's
She
Thamos.
extends a hand out to you, Nyx, to sort of greet you in the same way that she did Inferior.
I respond in kind.
Holding out your arm as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to try to grab onto your arm. You can see it just sort of tense up, like electricity just ran through it. The muscles in her arm sort of bulging out for a moment. It is a pleasure to meet you. Sorry, I got a bit of a cramp there.
Oh no, it's I have that effect on people sometimes. Don't worry
A
about
long
it.
story. It's a bit
Though Nick,
complicated.
as Nick says, don't worry about it. She is now looking at Michaela's forearm,
Very
worrying about
worried.
it herself.
Yeah, she just seems to sort of be holding on to it a little bit with a sort of a slight furrow of the brow, and she seems to sort of take a step back on her back foot and just sort of positioning herself. It almost seems like making herself like a smaller target. Almost it seems like by instinct. In Inferior, you would quickly recognize that she seems to almost just subconsciously shift into a fighting stance.
Kind of pat her
and-
shoulder.
Yes, your other companions.
Right. This is Thamos. He's one of Pythor's children.
Nyx quietly steps back for Theamos to go forward.
She just gives sort of a curt nod in Theamos' direction. Well met.
And then Mercury is the siren. He's
I
got
am.
quite the story. Almost the journey that we had, I guess, though a little probably a little less dramatic. In some ways. And then there's Sophia. She's
Just say it.
Oh.
We won the Suffering Olympics. Just it's fine.
Oh God.
Yeah, but all of our friends
Second
died.
place,
Was
maybe.
that-
But
I mean, we have closure. We have closure. He doesn't have any fucking closure. No idea whatsoever.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Nick's sort of, I assume you're still sort of watching the exchange?
Yes.
Yeah, so you quite easily pick up as she sort of introduces Theamos, she sort of gives him sort of a professional nod and gives Mercury the same, and then sort of looking at Sophia, you can see her sort of not, like, seeming to be sort of unsure of something, and then when Inferior addresses her and says that she is Sophia, you can see Michaela's face sort of soften again, and she extends out a hand once again, like she did with Inferior and she did with you.
we're tentatively reach out a hand, looking at her face with obvious confusion upon mine.
Sophia's
meet
kind
you.
of our resident well, she's the smart one, I guess. And then Atreus next to you.
Hmm.
He actually saved my life towards the beginning of our journey.
Really?
Yes, there was, well, we had a bit of a run-in with a rotted grove. You can imagine how that went. I tried too
I would
hard to
expect
save
the
it,
others
you know.
to do the same.
But
It
yes,
was nothing
Atreus.
special.
Well, special to
Sort
me.
of. And Kayla sort of looks at you and then looks back at Atreus and looks back at you. Well, good to know that you're capable. And I'm sort of looking up at Bart. And the Minotaur.
Lamios, our newest addition.
Quite the interesting group you've gathered.
Yes. You can say that again. I just quite like Bart.
I got like a
Seeing-
smile, trying to break a smile on my face.
Oh no.
You can see her sort of look at you and size you up, Bartholomeos. You seem like you have seen many battles. You don't shy away from combat.
I've been fortunate.
You seem to fight like... oh no, there is armor on you. Huh. I thought maybe this one fought in the style of our berserkers, Inferior. Well, it is no matter.
Similar.
Really?
Yes. He's quite the sight, really.
High praise coming from someone as talented as yourself. I assume a talent that has only improved since I last saw you fight.
I've had a few years to practice.
You have to tell me all about it. As she sort of comes back around and swings. It seems like trying to swing an arm around your shoulders, but you just tower over her by a few inches. It seems to sort of come to rest around your back, tucking in underneath one of your arms, pulling you in close. Well, come. Let us walk and try to stay dry. She sort of makes a bit of idle chatter with you. Anything you want to ask her on the way?
You know, I never did name the other person. I would ask her about the other, because there was 3 of us, right?
Yeah, there were
The
3
lesser
of you.
NPCs.
Yeah, I want to ask her about the other one, but I didn't name her.
I named her
Bob.
because they're very...
Oh yeah, I let him name all the other NPCs that I've acquired over 500 years.
Sweet.
So you would remember
Bobicus.
that the other NPC is another half-elf like Michaela, and her name was Daria, Daria.
Daria. How does Daria fare? Is she in Mitros? I know she wasn't, but is she now? I mean,
Yes. Ever since the boat, the rope, all of that, I took it upon myself to take care of her, and in the years preceding, we have grown quite close. She is actually my life mate now, Inferior.
oh, congratulations. That's
It
good to hear.
It is an interesting experience. The sort of bond that we would have felt on Themis is noticeably absent here on Thylea.
Oh?
It is strange. It's almost like our traditions fall away. Yeah. But
Interesting.
love is love.
Yes, that's what Gamera always said.
Yeah. Make your way out. Stepping back outside is interesting. You expect the hard pitter of rain once again, but you don't find it. Instead, you see something that you were not at all expecting. Snow.
Is this normal?
When he is around, yes.
Wait, when who?
And sort of looking down from the palace steps, coming back down into the garden, you can see it. Bright, even without sunlight, almost radiating light itself. The mound of silver in the garden has grown much larger.
Oh.
Glorious gray and metallic wings spread across a pile of coins as it seems to sort of shift its weight heavily in the accumulated hoard. The bronze wrapped soldiers sort of maintaining this phalanx in front of it, now all absent. None of them to be seen. Even the wind seems to have calmed around him, as you all see a very large silver dragon resting upon a pile of silver.
Suppose that's Icarus.
Indeed it is.
Oh.
Swing my egg off of my baby sling. Just kind of hold it out and run towards the dragon.
Sure, that's wise, Theomos. Oh, there he goes.
Boof, 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 footstep after footstep, just
I mean,
closing
if
in with the horde,
if
just
anyone
running
knows
at him, right?
anything about dragons, I mean, it's gonna be
Not
him.
like running, but like fast walking as I'm holding
Fast
out
walking.
my. Not really holding out, but just holding the egg. Kind of like, look, this is what you'll look like when you grow up, except green, I assume.
You just hear this loud, sort of rhythmic, deep, guttural breathing. One would connect almost to sleep, it seems. Don't really see a stirring or an answer, assuming you haven't actually said anything.
Oh, I think he's asleep, guys. Maybe we should come back when he's awake.
Let's not disturb the beast.
So I'm gonna
Lower
walk
than
up.
I
I'm gonna
remember.
walk right up to his pile.
Great.
So I'm gonna put one lepta in his pile.
Of course.
The lepta clinks against the other silver. You can see, weirdly enough, looking down at the silver, you realize, looking at it, the silver doesn't move when you put yours on top of it. It seems to sort of, your silver or your lepta slides across it and down onto an open patch of earth, as you realize all of the silver that he is resting on seems to be entombed. No, frozen underneath him. The rainwater washing all throughout it, now seemingly solidified around it into this ice block of a horde. As the coin slides across the ice, you can see just ever so slightly as it goes across from left to right, a large silver claw reach down in a single talon, clink, stop the coin, drag it closer towards itself. An offering, I suppose.
Well, yeah. I mean, I figured it was only polite.
You can see just a single eye open up on the head of this large silver dragon. And who do I owe credence to?
Oh, my name is Mercury. Part of the Oracle's Chosen. From an island called Yavin. You've never heard of it. But it's got the most beautiful mountain range you would ever lay your wings on.
And hear sort of the crinkle of metal as he sort of seems to shift his weight around. And as he does so, the ice underneath him cracks and breaks open. Coin starts spilling out. Of the Oracle's Chosen. Interesting.
Yes,
Well,
Is he?
I am Icarus. He sort of seems to position himself to sort of be almost appreciated.
I look over at Inferia so far away, and I kind of wave her over frantically.
I kind of creep out from behind the hedge
Nyx
very
is
hesitantly.
Yeah, Nyx is like stiff. She's just on edge
As
with this conversation.
Mercury's just gonna extend his wings out very, very large, like as far as they extend, and then bring him in as part of his bow.
Impressive. As he seems to sort of stretch out his wings, and they go, seems all the way to the edges of his hoard that he seems to be resting atop of. Bowing down ahead for just a moment, ever so slightly, as it seems only out of respect for the gesture rather than respect for you.
So, Icarus, how long have you been here in my trust? Actually, would I already know that?
I have been bonded to King Acastus for 15 years now. And, sort of looks at you, Theamos, sort of looks at the rest of you, Michaela included.
Atreus has his spear up and his shield ready, as if
Atreus!
I don't know. Atreus is wary, of course. You know, in the ready position.
I just love it.
Points it up
Atreus,
towards
come on now!
Points it up towards the sky.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And shield resting at his side as well, although strapped to his arm.
Yeah, so he looks at you and just continues to look over the rest of the group. I don't feel like it. He seems... there we go. I don't feel like being all noble. Yeah. Come here, Mercury of the Oracle's Chosen.
Oh, did he say come here?
Yeah.
Alright, yes, sir.
Nyx gets closer, seeing him drop this facade of nobility.
And just sort of sticks his hand into the hoard and pulls up, crunching against ice underneath him, and just with a handful, or clawful rather, of silver. Yeah, take it.
Oh, okay, sir. Yep.
My inside chat that says it's trap. He's gonna eat Mercury, isn't he?
Go ahead and give me an insight check.
You know nothing.
Oof.
Oh no.
These are bad rolls, guys.
How similar does this dragon look to the
12.
one that we saw?
A 12. You can see maybe like a smile. Like you can see some of his teeth, but he doesn't look like he's like positioning himself to strike, but you're not really sure. And Inferior, looking at this great big dragon, thinking back of the one you saw flying overhead before, its luster was different. It was a very stark and brilliant silver, like almost kind of polished. Whereas this one seems much more like natural, like silver ore, something that has not been refined, but instead seems to be sort of darkened with a strange sort of patina over it. He's like a mixture of this silver and sort of black.
How was
Definitely doesn't seem to be
Michaela-
the same dragon.
How is Michaela reacting to this interaction?
She just seems to be sort of looking at Icarus with this sort of kind of demeanor. Her posture is relaxed, and she's just sort of looking at you all and then looking back at Icarus, just like it seems like patiently waiting.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I appreciate it. It's a huge gesture. Can I ask you something, Icarus?
What is it?
Well, I don't want you to take offense or anything, but I mean, you're not the first silver dragon that I've come across. Uh, Matter of fact, we saw one a couple weeks ago. Have you had much communication with others of your kind?
There are the dragons of the host, the new dragon lords of the king, though they are of copper and bronze. I have not seen another silver.
I mean, it almost seemed as if this dragon was kind of riding the cusp of a storm, a lightning storm.
That is strange, but I don't know what it is you want me to do about it.
I was just curious. I mean, I've never really heard of too many dragons, kind of spending time with, well, I mean, when I think of lightning and storms, I kind of think of Poseidon, and I didn't really think too many dragons fall to Titans all that much. But I'm just a simple siren. I don't know very much about nothing. Not like you.
Dragon does what a dragon wishes. Seems to sort of stretch himself out. Give me a D10 roll. Okay.
8.
As from the pile, from what he sort of scooped up and passed over to you, you get 38 lepta.
Now I gotta do math.
What a weird exchange. There's a dragon, you give him $1 and it gives you $38 back. Okay.
It's like you cross paths with a rich guy and he just gives you $100. Here, buy yourself a soda or something.
It's not even $100 though. Randomly $38.
That
Pocket change.
Icarus, that sounds like a heck of a life to be able to just kind of do what you want. But you said you were bonded with the king, correct? Is that like an agreement between the two of you?
Is
Or
that an oath?
One of the oldest. Surely you have heard of the Oath of the Dragon Lords.
Yep, most definitely have.
I've heard of it in stories, but I don't know very much of it.
It's a magical spell that connects a dragon and a person, connects their life force together as well. It's kind of the crux of what a dragon lord has to do.
It's meant to be a mutual exchange then. Or has
It's
that also been transformed over the years?
It's typically done as soon as a dragon is hatched.
Is that true? Were you bonded with the king once you were hatched?
Indeed, I was.
So, I thought dragons lived to be hundreds and hundreds of years.
That we do.
So then, if you're bonded with the king, do you help extend his life? Or does your life end after a mere 50 to 70 years?
Honestly, I don't know. But I live comfortably.
Well, I hope you live for a real long time, Icarus.
I hope you enjoy yourself, Mercury, of the Oracle's Chosen. Come, do any of you want some of my wealth as well? I'm happy to give you some.
I couldn't impose.
I am much happier just seeing a dragon.
I mean, if you insist, I'll take some.
Will you? Sort of digs in a claw again. Yeah. Passing it over to you. It seems like a sort of small handful scooped up from between his claws. Give me a D10.
Icarus, I'm sure when you fly off, you're getting caught in that mess up in the sky. Is it an invisible force of sorts, or does the thunder have a source you can see?
I don't bother myself with the storm. It's annoying. Quite troublesome, really. But I am big and strong, so it is... meh.
That's what a mirror is like.
As you get 39 lepta.
We should probably get going, but it was nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you as well. Well, I'm gonna get back to relaxing then. Enjoy yourselves.
As well.
As Icarus seems to sort of crunch himself into the ice again beneath him. And this time he just seems to sort of kind of lazily collapse into it. Kind of like, oddly enough, kind of cat-like, just without much regality to him. He seems... It's kind of hard to put a fine point on it, but there is definitely something weird about him. It's a stark contrast to probably the only other dragon you've actually interacted with, even if he is dead. Kristrax carried himself like a king. This Icarus kind of seems like a child, almost. Teenager.
Only 15.
Baby dragon.
But does he seem... I mean, I probably want to know this. Never mind.
We should probably get going. We've kept Valis waiting long enough with our distraction.
And what a distraction.
As you all press on. As leaving this hedge, this dragon to his horde, it is only a short while later that the coldness that seems to sort of emanate from him comes not to a stark end, but lessens, and the snow returns once again into rain.
Infuriate turns to Michaela. You didn't say there was a dragon.
What did you think the massive pile of silver was for?
I mean, I knew it was part of the dragon's hoard, but I didn't know the dragon actually sat on it all the time.
Yeah, much more than he should.
What else would he be doing?
I don't know, something productive.
Dragon does what a dragon
I
will.
guess.
Dragon does as a dragon pleases.
Dragon does as a dragon wishes, as you said. Seems a bit similar to his bondmate, really. In some ways.
I'm not so sure if he's fond of his bondmate.
What makes you say that?
Just, there's a way that he said you had been bonded to the king. As a bitter old woman, I couldn't help but feel it might have been bitter as well. And if they bond when a dragon hatches, who's to say the dragon gets much of a choice? But I don't know much of dragon matters. I could just be spewing nonsense.
You describe yourself as a bitter old woman. It is a first.
Well, Nyx, knowing the spell, it's not necessarily like a willing thing, but it's more like when the dragon hatches. It's like a chicken. I think it's a chicken. But like the first person you see, they kind of like imprint on them like a parental figure.
Wait, so
Ish.
So what you're saying is, if you have enough money, and you know someone that knows that spell, and you can find a dragon egg, then you can just have a dragon?
Is it a spell one must know?
I mean, it's the only way to like. Honestly, the more I think about this, the more terrible it sounds. But it's the only real way to bond with the dragon in that way. I mean, if they weren't bonded, Icarus can just go off and do whatever he wanted, not care about Mitros or Augustus.
That's what he said that a dragon's natural instinct is.
But if they're bonded, it means he must answer to King Acastus's call and somewhat his will.
Somewhat. I feel like I don't think there's a way to break it.
If you break the tenets of the oath, the dragon can end the bond. You hear Kyra pipe up from behind you.
Oh, so like, if you're like evil or whatnot, and the dragon don't want to be evil, the dragon can just say adios.
Is that some Yavin phrase?
Sound like much of an oath.
Oh yeah, that means goodbye.
Necessarily.
No, she's right.
Not a call to be good or evil, only to be true to one another, and it can be twisted and abused because it is, like many things, a relationship.
Yep, relationships can be hard.
If that's the case, maybe Icarus is alright. I mean, he seems pretty okay with his lot in life. He gets to kind of just laze around on his hoard. Seems that he appreciates what he has right now, I guess.
Definitely seems that way to me.
Yeah, I don't think I'd want a dragon. Anyway, so, Michaela, this way to the garden or that way?
It's over here. It is referred to as the gardens, but it is much more than that. It is Valis's. It is the signs of her effort. Place of healing, worship, and care for the people of Mitros.
That's quite an opposite from her demeanor. How long did you say you were on the Queen's Guard?
I think it should be about 6 or 7 years now.
Was she this way when you had joined?
More or less. Yeah.
And has the king always been, well, treated her the way he does?
You noticed that, Not like he's really making any effort to hide it.
He doesn't treat her like a life mate.
No. He hasn't for some time. No, when I joined, it seemed like they were trying to make whatever that is work.
Do you know what the latest point of tension was? The relationship doesn't simply fall apart. There's always something there that can eat away at it.
Alice tends to keep to herself, even from me. Quite the reserved goddess. Though, if I were to wager a guess, it has a lot to do with who Acastus is. I feel like maybe she overestimated him.
I could see that.
I was not very impressed, I will admit.
Just kind of saunter over to Kira. Kira, your sister might need you. Kind of more than she's ever needed you ever.
She needs her family. Whether or not she'll accept them.
Yeah. I mean, just being here for her, I mean, that's all you can do. You just tell her that you love her and that you're here, and if she needs anything, and you never know. Maybe she might open up.
I would like a return to the past, but that will come if it comes.
You and me both. You and me both.
You can see,
Me.
you can see the city sort of take a bend towards, it seems like, a deeper darkness. The storm overhead blocking out the sun, and now as time passes, as I wasn't moving the clock when you guys were traveling earlier, it was paused, as it's coming closer and closer now, traveling through the city and stopping where you have and the conversations and the like. It's coming on about 4 o'clock or so, and there's this sort of blue sort of hue, it seems, the mixture of light and the bit of light that can get through and the darkness overhead sort of casts the city in a weird sort of way, almost like an early nighttime. And as you all are traveling this short distance back down the stairs, across the plaza, almost back over towards the Royal Gate, towards this sort of complex of small buildings and bathhouses, these apparent gardens. Quickly double check. Theamos. In a moment of silence, You swear you can hear something just talking. It sounds like just above you or behind you. Almost that strange, same sort of voice in your head, like from the mines, but this time distinctly not in your head. You hear this strange sort of ethereal chanting. It almost seems to sort of be on the wind, and it's very faint. The wind itself seems to sort of deafen it out, but you just barely hear it. It's so hard to make out because you realize the words you're hearing, they are not in common, and they're certainly not in Draconic. You're hearing the wind itself whisper. The drops of rain, the water seems to gurgle with this strange, barely audible sequence of words. Like you're hearing a conversation you shouldn't. And then, as you come to the entrance of the gardens, the sky flashes overhead once again, bright with light, as thunder seems to ring out over the city once again, and underneath that thunderclap, you hear that same conversation, this exchange, but you can't make it out. But you realize something is talking in the storm.
Amos kind of squints his eyes at the sky. Do you guys hear voices?
Hear voices?
Gods, I hope not. I've had enough of those.
Kind of peek my ears up.
If I'm actively listening for them, can I hear them?
I try to tune into the sounds that I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's just sort of concentrating, as the rest of you, I believe, are just sort of hearing just the sounds of the storm and your own breathing, not able to make out really anything else.
Sounds like a storm.
Yeah, it doesn't ring any bells for any of you. But Theamos, give me a perception check as you're listening close to that clap of thunder.
Wait, perception is a skill that I can give. Wait, I have to wait for him to roll.
Hold on.
Wait. Oh no, he can do he has his own things.
You could roll better on the D20.
13.
Do you want to try rolling a d20 again with a plus
Sure.
3? Yay! Where shall I find this? Boom!
You can see Theamos seem to sort of perhaps hesitate to try to listen closely to the storm around him. Just a wee bit of advice to maybe cup his hands around his ears, sort of pooling in water quite quickly as it catches the rain building up. But it definitely seems to help, as you make out quite clearly in Primordial, Theamos, with that thunderclap, a bit of a line, only bits of it, the distance and everything else obscuring it, but you make out this must continue. We have our oath to uphold.
My oath?
So I don't want to sound crazy, guys, but I think the sky is talking to me. Or talking in general.
What's it saying?
Is it the sky or something in the sky, Thamos?
I mean, so when the thunder struck, I heard voices saying something about keeping an oath. keeping this to continue?
Well, I'd keep listening, see what you can find out.
Yes.
Maybe Alice knows.
Maybe.
It sounds like whatever is talking has an oath to someone to keep this storm going?
If anybody we know about it, it must be Valis. Stories I've heard of her, she knows as much of Thylea's history as the Twin Titans themselves. Unless those are just stories, Kira.
Alice is the wisest of us all.
I mean, I've often found that there is a base of truth with most stories.
Just get out of the rain.
Agreed.
This moving into the largest of these buildings within this garden. This large sort of place of respite and healing in Mitros, a famed place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeet.
Oh god, where's our spawn box?
Oh, my Lanta.
It was huge.
Oh no, there's red masks. It's a fucking cult. It's a fucking cult!
Everyone
Yeah.
that worships something is a cult.
Oof. Yeah,
That's one
Nyx
way of
is
looking at it.
immediately- We step into this place.
You can hear the storm continuing outside, but as you enter into this massive building, you can see and smell and hear the sounds of people both praying and filling out paperwork, moving things around, and tending to sick and injured people. As the primary purpose of Valis's Gardens, besides being a regal and beautiful bathhouse, is that it is the primary hospital of the city of Mitros.
And this has been here for hundreds of years. This isn't like a new Mitrosian development.
Yeah, it's been here for a very, very long time.
The first hospice.
I'd heard stories of this place. I never thought I'd ever step foot in it myself.
Reminds me of a battlefield.
Why?
Battlefield. You fought in such luxurious places such as this.
That's not what I was referring to.
You
As
mean
he's,
the aftermath.
he's looking over at all the people on those beds.
Ah,
Just gonna fly up probably about 15 feet or so, see if I can't catch a glimpse of where she at.
Michaela gonna guide us, or is she just letting us go?
And she seems to be walking
I
beside
don't
you.
want to so loud.
Does Daria's old injury trouble her any?
Besides the loss of an arm, no. Pain has stopped.
Good to hear.
You make your way through this place. You can hear sound like from a few people, like sort of this sort of whimpering of pain as acolytes call on simple magic and try to make them comfortable, treat them with poultices and potions.
Do they look like, are they like actively bleeding, or does it look like some kind of disease, or like...
It seems like sort of a mixture of ailments. It isn't a uniform thing. It doesn't seem like there was a great big accident and, you know, these are all people who are suffering from it. It just seems like out of a city of almost 50,000 people, some of them are sick.
So like poison or like disease, not so much like hit point reduction.
Where'd everybody go? Where's
Did
everybody?
these people get struck by lightning?
Let's go south.
Well, yeah, just go
You're
way
so
south.
far down here, fuck.
I hit the legs.
Sophia sprints to catch up on the
Hit
map.
the
So
legs,
we had to go to the
Sophia.
bathroom and get some fucking
No,
snacks.
not allowed.
Pee in the
Not
bath.
allowed.
Pee in the
You're dead.
Yeah,
bathhouse.
it's D&D time.
Pee in
As
the
you make-
bathhouse.
You make your way
Do
towards
it.
these stairs. You can see this this one satyr here seems to have these just awful burns up her arm, and this cheery face, but almost kind of or like fresh face, but with a sort of seriousness to her, seems to be focusing on some incantation over her arms and healing her quite quickly with some available magics. Okay, that should be all better. Good. How do you feel? I feel a lot better, thank you. It's going to be a little tight for a bit, but just try not to agitate it too much. If you need anything, the acolytes can bring some poultice to rub onto what remains. But you're in good hands. Sort of flashing this bright smile, you can see the sort of long points of elven ears sticking out between the hair as she sort of looks up towards you all with a smile on her face. And then her eyes just stop on you, Nyx.
Which one?
You.
Yeah, no,
as
but
the-
who? Who's looking at me?
Which of
Which of the cluster?
NPCs?
Super happy one? No,
The
it's not
super happy one.
Oh, it is the super happy one.
Do I recognize her?
Give me a history check. Nyx.
Oh god, but she recognizes me.
Yeah, she does.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna use my mythic inspiration.
Hey, you!
Oh.
You!
Do it.
Person.
Fuck me. I lost 2 points.
Sorry, but I'm not.
You look just the way I remember you.
I'm sorry. It's. Have you?
Forgive me. The last time you saw me, I was a child. Issa,
Going between the pews in the Temple of the Five.
you do remember. Oh, it has been... Oh, God. So long.
Almost 400 years.
Yeah. You look well. You look better than you did then.
Same to you, I suppose. So, growing up does that. For many.
Are you all right? Did you need care?
No. I'm here on professional matters with Valis.
With Valis? Really? And she seems sort of like flabbergasted for a moment. Are you thinking of joining the hospital? Are you a priest?
Well, yes, I am. I had become a cleric sometime after my first arrival to Mitros.
I am a follower of Valis myself now. Chosen to carry out her will and provide healing. It's so good to see you. I don't want to hold you up. Could we maybe talk after?
Certainly.
Well, it's really good to see you again. I'm glad you're well, as she just seems to put a hand on your shoulder and make contact. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't lock up. She doesn't flinch. Well,
interesting.
Good luck with whatever it is you all are doing.
So I'm gonna fly to the middle of this whole place, as I'm gonna do a song comfort.
Nyx looks like she just saw a fucking ghost.
It seems everyone's past is catching up, huh?
Oh, now it's black and I can't read it.
It's because I know John has his in light mode, yeah.
Yeah, like you're
So
supposed
everything.
to.
No, dark
Deal
mode
with
like you're
deal with
supposed
mine.
to.
Deal with mine having to read white on white.
If you highlight it, it shows up. Pro tip.
As I'm gonna do it at second level, so
Wait, you guys are in dark
every
mode?
single person, every single person that hears it gets 8 hit points.
Honestly, I'm more surprised that she spoke to me.
Oh my god, there is.
She was but a child when I last saw her, and I wouldn't say I had the best reputation around the temple.
So you have the best reputation now.
That's debatable.
I guess it depends on who you ask, huh?
Indeed it is.
I've never met another dryad before. Well, except for the evil one, but I don't think she counts.
Damn, bro. That's rough.
Inferior only meets dryads when they're broken and busted.
Oof.
Why
Including
do I
herself.
never meet dryads that like me? And I'm Nyx.
Nyx isn't a dryad.
Yeah, Nyx is a different
she's
nymph.
Close enough, you know what I'm saying? You're all not humans.
No.
Other.
Nymphs.
Wow.
Check Mike the yeah.
But aren't humans like the alien races here?
Humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, even, I think.
And yet here we are. All I'm saying is that the gods take humanoid forms.
Humanoid.
And they look human enough.
Basically, if the race wasn't in the book, it's a foreigner.
As you come to the top of the stairs, Inferior, you can see some of these gathered women, all of them wearing arms and armor, all of them looking like they can put up a hell of a fight. And you look at the markings on them, and your mind is taken immediately back to Themis. Traditional Amazon war tattoos, though strangely enough, looking at them, you're sharp-eyed enough to realize that these are painted on. They have not gone through the process of receiving the actual markings permanently. And it sort of clicks into place immediately. They must have been trained, but they are not true Amazons.
I see that you've trained your guard in the way of the Amazons.
We have to make do with what we can, and make do we have. They are quite capable, even if they are from the mainland.
I'm sure that anyone serving under you would have to be capable. You wouldn't accept less.
Exactly. They seem to all salute as Michaela comes past. My queen, I have brought your sister and the oracles chosen, as you have requested. Good. Sort of step to the side of a fountain and go to a position of attention.
Avis is gonna be a brat and go sit on her shoulder. He misses her too, okay?
Are you sitting on the table, Mercury?
Table adjacent.
So, you can see Valis sort of sign, it looks like some lengthy paperwork, roll it up and seal and stamp it, or passing it to, looks like one of her guards. Not Michaela, but the other one with this long, blonde, flowy hair. What is this, I'm sure, marvelous plan of yours, Kyra?
Sarcasm.
Well, it's simple. We're not going to let them destroy the temple because we're going to stop the storm. We being us. Gods.
No, just you.
Look, I think that our best shot at stopping the storm is to use the guitar. The magic within it. You know I can bend the weather. Yes, but an old magical instrument. Even if it is Vulcan made, I don't think it will be enough. I have been listening to the storm, Kyra, and praying to Mitros for guidance. I know Poseidon himself has not beckoned this storm. I think this is the work of his son, Thalius, but I do not sense his presence above Mitros. I have not since the storm started.
Well, about that, I too, have been listening to the storm, that cool. There is some entity up there or around that I think has some sort of oath, maybe to Sidon or maybe to his child, to keep the storm going. So
She seems to sort of press ahead. It's weird. Her next line seems to acknowledge what it is you said and treat it as being true, but without looking at you, without really stopping in her discussion with Kyra, it seems like at all. Only acknowledging your words since they line up with what it is it seems she was already going to say. Yes, there are 4 of them. Elementals. You can hear them if you listen close. The gusts of wind, the clatter of rain, the clap of thunder. I have already tried to remove the storm twice on my own with my own magic, Kyra. That spell will not work. I thought as much. I didn't think the magic in the guitar was going to be enough. I thought if we could collect our divine power from each of us and channel it into the guitar, we could use it as a catalyst. Like what Mother did. We could enact a miracle. Perhaps that could be enough to force these elementals to retreat, to stop the storm? But the thing is, dear little sister, that process takes careful, measured steps. Too quick and your spark would overflow with power and shatter. Too slow and your spark would awaken on its own and could drain one of the others. You'd know this if you paid attention in Mother's lessons. Lessons, smessions, alright? What if we had enough time to channel the power safely? well, the instrument would have to hold up to the power as well. Father made it. Touché. Then the problem becomes the storm itself. I don't think the elementals controlling the storm will just let us enact a miracle without retaliation. We would need time to channel it, but in doing so, we'd leave ourselves vulnerable to attack. If we die, the ritual would become unbalanced, possibly destroying the remaining gods in the process. Assuming that we all return, which isn't, in this case, a guarantee, we'll have failed. And
ma'am, we could protect you while you're doing all that.
Yes, it does seem fitting, doesn't it?
Who are you exactly? You're part of this group.
Yeah, ma'am. Name's Mercury. True heir to the kingdom of Yavin. You've never heard of it though. And kicker of Sidon's ass.
Mercury.
If we cannot defeat them, we could keep them off of all of you. Provide a sort of distraction. A barrier of sorts.
Well, and I, for one, am anxious to face these elementals because Vulcan needs a heart of one for what I.
You see Kyra sort of finally, it seems like, smiling, as it seems like her intended plan to her is coming all together, as she sort of just stretches her hands towards the lot of you, just sort of posing, it seems like, sort of presenting you. The heroes of Thylea. That's who will protect us. And Valis seems to look at the lot of you really for the first time, truly taking each of you in. Her gaze not unlike a stern teacher's, but with a beautiful, almost enchanting face. Not a flaw to be found on it. She looks at you all like you've been brought into her class because you were making trouble in another one, and she's deciding where to seat you. After a few moments, she turns back to Kyra. There won't be enough. Mortals never are. Normally we could leave it to Pythor, but without Mother... But these are the prophesized ones. The Oracle said, I know what she said. Factions around each deity, all hoping to be saved. More people taking the black, nobles being turned to stone, and that damn slaver still being a thorn in my side. I swear the city would tear itself apart if I so much as blinked. I've been dealing with the doubt and panic her words have sown for the last 3 months. Must she call so much attention to herself every time she thinks she's seen the end of it all? Or at least tell me first so I can plan around it? I know you don't like her, Valis, but it's not her fault she's the way that she is. All history together is... And Kyra just seems to sort of look at the lot of you. What it is. That being said, I think these heroes can keep us safe. They'll be different. Their hearts are more pure and valorous. So was Xander's. All it takes is a bit of betrayal. How are their minds? She sort of looks through the lot of you. You there, Stygian of Grey. Akramatakos, no doubt. What's your name?
Sophia. A family name you have correct.
He seems to sort of beckon you forward.
Goddess Valis, as I curtsy in her presence.
She sort of look you up and down. Let me hear your thoughts on this, Sophia Akramatikos. What is the greatest threat to settler civilization and why?
The entirety of civilization.
Well, at least someone has been paying attention.
Right now, all of this in front of us is not it. The storm may wipe this city off the map, and it would not matter. All the people within this city may die, and it would not matter.
Good enough. As you can see, just a genuine smile seemed to sort of break across Valis's face at that answer, seeming to coincide with what she was thinking herself. The people's faith in this city has dwindled over these past few weeks. The storm, the crux of the issue. But I know there are still some who would lay down their lives if need be for Mitros. Perhaps I can marshal a tagma or two. There should be more than enough shields. There's Theamos, Atreus, and maybe even Bartholomaios, and definitely Inferior. All of you sort of martially trained warriors would recognize the terminology used. A tagma is a sort of the same as like a battalion. It's 250 hoplites each. As she seems to be talking about marshaling hundreds of soldiers. And then Kyra just seems to
in
her
a
face.
super metropolis.
Yeah.
And a couple hundred isn't that much. I'm sure they have a force of like 1,000 or something.
Probably more.
They have centurions.
Yeah.
They have like 20 centurions. How big are their forces? Their forces are massive. So yeah, a couple hundred is probably small.
As you can see, the sort of smile and happiness on Kyra's face noticeably drop at that mention. That would be great, sister, but the thing is, out with it, Kyra, what is it? The thing is, in order for this to work, I'll need to be as close as possible to the storm, and the best place with latent divine resonance is Mother's old temple. And you see Valis's face shift into a beautiful anger. Even with her eyes narrowed, brow furrowed, and teeth sort of just peeking past her lips, it's still a wonder to behold. Malaka. If that's the case, Kyra, we're going to have an extraordinarily difficult time. The banks are too narrow, and the ruins can't hold 25 people, let alone 500.
But you could have us and the finest members of your guard.
Indeed.
I
You
can't
could
even
summon those two.
I can't even position my tagmas on the shoreline. Bows would be useless with the winds in the distance. No other location will work for this. Kyra just looks at her, shaking her head softly. If we fail, they'll tear down the temple to stop the storm. I know, but I think it's our best... Valis just seems to sort of raise a hand towards her. And Kyra just immediately stops speaking. I know how you feel, sister. This will be our greatest endeavor in over 20 years, and I won't be able to bring legions to bear. But you're right. She sort of looks at you, Inferior. I'm sure my Amazons, some loyal my Trojan captains. And that said, you're not the only goddess with heroes. As you can see, Valis's eyes sort of shimmer with golden light. Her hair catches a small breeze that you can't feel. But you see it. Adrastos, slayer of the old wood hydra, lion of the steppe, shield of the cerulean, I, Valis, goddess of wisdom, invoke your oath of protection. A few moments pass, and that strange power seems to fade. You will be here in 3 days. I will send for Father and Pythor as well. Oracle's chosen. We cannot delay much longer. 3 days at the most, unless you absolutely need it. Do you need to prepare anything?
There is always business that must be done. 3 days is plenty.
Good. Kyra, you will be controlling the miracle, but if we want this to go as well as it possibly could, for both our benefit and your gaggle of chosen ones, I will need you to write a scroll for me. Of what? You have all the... Oh. You need my magic. There's a streak of showmanship to you after all. I'm just making sure the 5 resurge. We'll need the worship for what nears with each passing day. I can provide access to some set-aside alchemical and spell-casting efforts. Unfortunately, I do not have a magical arsenal at my disposal, but hopefully magical oils can compensate. I can provide to each of you any 2 or 3 potions or magical oils. Just provide me with a requisition slip, and I will see to it that it is done within 2 days.
Understood.
In the meantime, can we have access to any research you have on elementals, particularly storm elementals?
Your efforts would be best focused. And she sort of gives you a smile at the notion of research, Inferior. Seeming, you can see just sort of a hint of pride on her face, not too dissimilar to when you were going through your training as an Amazon, when you'd give the right answer, as you so often would. You see that sort of reflection on her face. That would be best served by the Academy. Though I believe they have closed their doors, I will give you a writ so that you may access their libraries.
Thank you.
Be sure not to cause any damage, though. The storm cannot be allowed into that place. It is our best records.
You mentioned that you're gonna need all the people possible to worship you? Is that right? Like, do you gain some energy or power for more and more people that worship you and give offerings at the temple?
Yes. Were you unaware that that's how this worked?
Well, hell, I'll go around town. I'll drum up a hell of a lot of business.
Mercury
Well,
is very good at
We'll
that.
have droves and droves and thousands of people coming in and out of the Temple of the Five.
And even if
That
people
would
cannot
be
leave their dwellings, they can have small altars in their homes.
most do. Do not worry about what takes place before the battle. We will make sure everyone is well informed, but if you are so full of bravado as you say, Mercury, then your tale could be very well used after our success. Make sure that everyone knows what happened should we succeed.
I mean, I can go tell the story about how we defeated Sidon in the trial in Astoria. And it's just going to be another verse to the song that's just going to show how well the Five still care for the people of this land, not asking people to sacrifice humans and other creatures for worshiping.
Because chosen fight for the Five. Those who, well, love us, could be easily persuaded into worship for the Five.
Most of the boarding houses and inns throughout the city have closed. The city is more or less shut down after the last week. You can stay in one of the adjoining buildings here for the time being, but I'll need that space once this is all wrapped up. Is that agreeable, Oracle's Chosen?
Yes,
Yes.
it's very kind of you.
So our services are to be rendered, and although many of us are satisfied with charity, we have been conscripted for more than just mitros, and our true task lies outside of this place. For our services, what compensation is offered? What aid can be rendered for our future task?
Valis shoots a glance at Kyra, and Kyra looks at her with a sort of desperation on her face, and then sort of looks at you, Sophia, like, why'd you do that?
Did you think now was the
Something,
appropriate-
something, valorous hearts, good people, etc., etc., etc.
Sure, yeah, face palms.
As gauche as the topic may be, she is right. We might be the prophesized heroes of Thylea, but we cannot help the people if we do not have resources of our own to gain strength, to gain materials that would ensure our victory against the Titans.
If the prophecy is to be believed, then our efforts here could be a risk that we cannot afford to make. And yet, as you can see, I cannot convince my compatriots otherwise. So, at the very least, this should be worth our time and effort. Worth the risk.
I can rend you magical aid going forward. I am sure you are an interesting student. You can see her eyes sort of dart to your side, looking at the large duffel bag at your hip of alchemy. That bag can be improved upon, along with some other trinkets that you all seem to carry. We'll see to it that that improvement is made.
Please forgive my curtness, as it all is. I have longed for a very long time to meet with the goddess Valis. I know that you do not, or possibly cannot, know of my patron, but she thinks of you very highly, and so do we.
And I strive to not be a disappointment, then.
Sort of nod my head at her. As do we, for the world.
Valis sort of turns to Kyra. And sort of, you can hear the soft sort of hum, almost like a song of sorts, a sort of soft tune, a whisper in a language that I don't believe any of you, save for one so blessed, besides Sophia, understand. I need to speak to you about, as looking back, well, I have more business to attend to if you don't have any questions, but Michaela will keep you informed as developments are made, and she'll also be who you can deliver your requisition to. Michaela just sort of bows and salutes to Valis. I'm going to stay and talk with my, with Valis. You all want to go, I guess.
Yes, the sooner I can start on research in the library, the better. Or the academy, I guess.
Give me a bit of time and I will go with you.
Same. I need to catch up with, gods, I don't actually know her name.
Easy?
Easy.
Isa.
Isa.
I-S-S-A.
I was close.
Yes, with Isa, and I'll join you. I also have other business in the academy as well.
Here, I'll show you to the academy. I used to go there all the time. Mickey, not Mickey, Inferia.
Well, I don't mind waiting for Nyx and Sophia, and I can always catch up with Michaela while I wait.
I don't mean for you to wait, simply let you know that I will accompany you when the time comes.
Are you all thinking of heading there now? You hear Valis sort of chime in from across the way.
Not immediately, no. As I said, I have business to attend to.
Yeah.
Is
Yes,
going
Mercury?
now a problem?
No.
Will it take some time to get through it?
I just need to write it.
Well, I'm gonna go around town, tell people about our story back in Astoria. Make sure they start praying extra hard.
Yeah, Gray.
Yes, ma'am.
When you're on this task, I'd like to borrow your voice. I brought something that could be sold at a decent price. You could use your voice to convince those that wish to fund our effort more than lending arms and armor or prayer. I have a few names that might be interested. Those well off, able to aid in certain ways that others cannot.
Oh, you want to go to like the real wealthy noble folk first?
When you are doing your rounds.
Yeah, I mean, give me the list. Anything specific I need to know about these folks? They're gonna be on the list.
Not particularly. Simply those that have a taste from the north. As I walk over and put my bag on the table as I start to, actually no I don't. I whisper over, or whistle over for what's her face? That's around here somewhere. Middle lady.
The
Catalonia, wherever she is.
Catalonia.
She'll accompany you. Simply
Well, all right.
one. Highest of Meg. I left some notes. Wanted to be sold at. If you could get more, good. Anything to fund our effort.
Sounds good.
Thylea, File, Mercury. Allow him access to the wine that we've stored away.
Understood.
But yes, I was planning on going straight to the academy.
As in a few short moments, a seal impressed after being heated, you have in your hands, Emphyria, a important document. A writ from the goddess Valis, allowing those of you the oracles chosen listed by name access to the academy even now during this state of emergency.
Thank you.
Before we all go our separate ways, also, Catalonia, give you a report on Vulcan.
His status was cheery. He seemed
What are the mines?
happy to be back at work. The mines themselves. I did not inspect the mines, was I supposed to?
We had no problems with the Ica. Or once you reported to him of the dangers of it.
The Ica he burned away.
Good. You have any other questions? Was it Mercury that asked originally? Thamos? I don't remember.
About what?
Somebody asked about Vulcan beforehand. It's fine. I don't remember who it was either.
It might have been
Yeah, I think
me, but I don't think so.
because Valis didn't call him by his name. She just said she was going to call her dad.
Yeah, father.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Papa.
Shall we decide on a time to meet back here, or just whenever we're done with our tasks for the evening?
What time is it now? Oh wait.
Looks like it's
like
4:39.
I fucking love that.
I'll,
The one time I look at the clock.
Seems like we're all staying in the same place and we have 3 days to prepare, so most likely we'll see each other in the afternoons.
How long would it take for me to get to the academy from here?
From here, probably like 15 minutes, if that. The academy is up in the same area.
I don't know how long my conversation's going to take, but I'll see about arriving to the academy between 6:30 and 7, if I lose track of time.
You all are up here in this collection of buildings between the two temples, just before the plaza. So you come out of the Royal Gate, which is 6. There's the plaza, and you have Valis's Gardens to the south, the temple, which is 2, Temple of Sidon, which is 1, the palace, which is 4, and the academy, the collection of buildings, all the way the rest of the this high rise is 5. All of that is the academy. All of these buildings up here.
Cool.
It's a big campus.
Very well. I do not know the way to the academy. Michaela, are you able to escort me, or shall I wait for Nyx?
Oh, sure.
Very well.
At least Thamos would also be your escort.
Yes,
This is
he's my Trojan raised.
Although I do not remember him haunting the halls of the academy when I was there, so he may be lying.
Well,
I mean, unless there is another big library. I mean, I spent most of the time just reading books. Which I wasn't doing in fights, but you know. It caused a lot of trouble in the library. They would have kicked you out.
Right. Well then, I suppose if you're busy, Michaela, Thamos can just take me, though I was hoping we could catch up.
She sort of looks over to Valis, and Valis just sort of waves her off. I am free.
Perfect.
Now where's my girl at?
The cousin?
Yeah, Zoran, where's you at?
Well, I don't think you would know, so you'd probably have to ask.
I assume I got instructions from, what's his face? Davos.
I believe he just told you the name of her place.
I would have asked how to get there. Go to the city, find my cousin. Okay, where? How do you know in the city?
Yeah, Zoran's Concoctions is the name of her little small shop. And the important part that he would have told you is that she has seen enough success that she is a part of the main Agora, which is in the Noble District, and it is position 7. One of the many shops that form up the Great Agora.
Zoran's Concoctions. Number 7? Ah. It's a big one.
Yeah, there's a wealth of shops there.
Oh, so it's like a strip mall?
Yeah, it's an Agora. It's an entire marketplace. This
I don't want to bitch at the fucking strip mall. Come on. Get her own shop. Fuck this.
No, to be a part of the Great Agora is to be one of the best shops in the city. And this map is to scale, so it's it's really big. Fucking 2 football fields long.
Yo.
As unless there's anything else in Valis's gardens.
We all scatter.
Scatter to the wind.
I mean, unless my conversation's happening in the gardens, but like nothing with Valis directly.
Conversation with Issa?
Yeah.
I mean, she'd still be, tending to people. Would be happy to talk to you in the gardens, but unless there's anything else that is not actually like downtime, that is going to be the end of our session.
Hey.
As you all have been presented with a more than half shut down city for the time being, but hopefully you can find where it is you need to go in spite of the hurricane roaring overhead. And you have 3 days of downtime and no game this upcoming Sunday, so you have plenty of time to come up with what it is you want to do and tell me, so that way we can I'll sort of work through it with each of you individually and sort of tell you what it is you learn, over the course of these 3 days, and if there are some joint investigations or joint research, etc., then I'll make sure that everyone in that effort is informed. But you have time to sort of think over anything and everything that you want to try to do over these next couple days before this miracle is supposed to take place. And we'll hash it out over the next 2 weeks since we got the time. That might even come in the form of some, not necessarily private, but possibly sort of one-on-one sessions or one-on whoever happens to hop in sessions in terms of if anything needs to be rolled in a sort of way that we do some of our other downtime in other systems and other games, rather. So that will be fun. But that's all I've got for you this Sunday, right here on Lionhead Gaming for Heroes of Thylea. It has been a wonderful little talking episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know there was a lot of sort of back and forth between 2 NPCs, but hopefully it was nice seeing what their dynamic is. And I hope you all had fun watching out there. There's always more D&D to be had right here on Lionhead Gaming, though it is a bit of an off week a little bit, as we'll be coming back to the very beginnings of a hopefully heated and confrontational fight on this Tuesday with the Apex Alliance riding out like the Valkyries to fight and try to take down an archdevil in a ambush gone just oh so right. Gone beautifully right. It'll be glorious.
Gone
Be sure to tune in this Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern for Kingdoms of the South, as we'll see what happens. And this Thursday,
They die.
we are off for Song of Rapture, as we just came to the peak of a climax, it seems, with a strange Fey Lord, it seems, someone with an affinity to fire, trying to burn a crystalline tree in Persephone's home city. The Valiant Vanguard have been called upon to aid in this endeavor to subdue him. So how that goes for them, what his deal is, and what the deal is with the Feywild trying to come into the world of Hearth. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. A lot of mossy rocks to flip over and find out what's underneath them. So be sure to tune in, not this Thursday, but next Thursday for the continuation of Song of Rapture. That gives you some good time to watch the VODs. And like I said, this Sunday we are off for Heroes of Thylea, so that way we can hash out some downtime, and then we'll come back into it next Sunday. Most likely right at the end of those 3 days, as people that may be called upon will be arriving to the city, the group coming together and trying to work a miracle and save this city from the storm above it. That's all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you'll follow me on Twitter and join the Discord if you feel so inclined. They're both available, and we'd love to have you. And, as always, may your dice roll 20s, and you always make your saves.
Bye-bye.
Toodles!
Later.
Seriously, wash your hands. Just do it.
Yes. Yes.
Seriously. For cereal.
Super duper.
And we are back from our break. Hopefully everybody is all
Did we
set
do
and
it?
good to go. I think we did it.
Sweet.
I think we made it back in